ESPN College Football is presented by Cars.com. Nebraska makes its first ever trip to ACC country, taking on the team that won the conference a year ago, Wake Forest, here in Winston-Salem, in front of a sold-out crowd at Grove Stadium. And we're about 30 seconds or so away from kickoff between Wake Forest and Nebraska, along with Andre Ware and Aaron Andrews. I'm Dave Pasch. The nation's leading rusher after week one is Nebraska's Marlon Lucky at 233 rushing yards last week, 4 total touchdowns. Meanwhile, a new quarterback today for Wake Forest, Riley Skinner, out with a shoulder injury, so Brett Hodges will start. Andre, what's the difference between the two?
Well, basically the difference right now, one guy has butterflies, the other one doesn't, because he's going to take the snaps. But you look at it, there is no difference. They're going to basically go with the same offensive package for Brett Hodges as they would with Riley Skinner. When it came into this game, or a year ago or so, it was Hodges who was ahead in the pecking order, and it was a separated shoulder. The irony of that is he would have been the quarterback, but Riley Skinner took over. You look at it, and talking to him yesterday, he seems to be okay, and he's ready to go.
But he'll have to wait. Sam Keller will be out there first, the Nebraska quarterback, as Grigsby takes the kick return past the 25-yard line, and a good return out around the 35 as he's bumped out of play by Hunter Haynes. Let's bring in now the third member of our crew down on the sideline, Aaron Andrews.
Me up there for the both of you guys. It's supposed to be about 88 degrees here today. I can tell you it's a lot hotter than that on the field. Feels about 92, 93. I spoke with Nebraska head coach Bill Callahan about this, and he said, look, I brought the team out for a good 30, 35 minutes for a walkthrough to get used to it. Courtney Grigsby, senior Husker, told me, hot? It's about to get hotter in about 20 minutes. Yeah. I don't know if I can deal with that.
Well, drink some water, Aaron, and lots of it, all right?
Lots of it.
And they're going to run Lucky. Nebraska ran it 70 times in a huge win over Nevada last week, but nothing there. As McClintock makes the tackle on Lucky on first down and 10. No gain on the play.
Hey, look at Lucky and what he was able to accomplish. Leads the nation in rushing, 266 all-purpose yards, 233 on the ground. Nebraska, as an offensive unit, Dave, ran it 70 times. Nebraska of old.
413 rushing yards. That's the most in the Bill Callahan era. Callahan with a new quarterback. You see him there, Sam Keller. And he's going to throw out in the flat, and it's caught by Nunn, but there's a penalty marker down. Nunn picks up about 5, but again, a marker in on the play. We have Big 12 officials. Gerald Wright is our referee.
Maybe some kind of illegal shift. Nebraska, they like to move a lot of guys. They'll explode to a lot of different formations. Yeah, right out of the huddle, trying to keep the defense confused.
Bill Callahan in his 4th year, only a game over 500 in Big 12 play, but in his first year won 5 games overall, 8 the next year, and then 9 last year, and went undefeated against North teams, 5-0, and lost in the Cotton Bowl to Auburn. Their first January bowl, though, since 2002. Sam Keller, transfer from Arizona State. We'll tell you more in his story as we go along. 2nd and 15 from the 27-yard line. And it's a screen, and getting away from a defender is Lucky. And he gets to the 37-yard line before Kerry Major makes the tackle. All right, we told you about Sam Keller. And Keller's going to introduce to you the Nebraska starting offense. All right, maybe he won't. Here's Keller going with the Allen Iverson look with the sleeve. Andre, you'd have looked great if you'd have worn that when you played quarterback.
And I don't know how much that helps you throw the football, but if it works inside your head as a quarterback, you do what you have to do.
One of the reasons he's wearing that is because he has a lot of tattoos under that sleeve, but he didn't want to show off as Keller's pass goes through the hands of Nate Swift, incomplete, and it will bring up 4th down.
And Nate Swift is usually a sure-handed receiver. They like to go to him in critical situations like that 3rd down. And Wake Forest kind of passing the test defensively in the first series. Major hurdle for them to get over early in this game. Stop this high-powered Nebraska offense. Get yourself set up in some pretty good field position to start this game offensively.
Dan Titchener had a great 2006. He'll punt it away to Kenny Moore. We told you we had the nation's leading rusher here in Marlon Lucky. Kenny Moore is the nation's leading passer. Caught 15 balls last week, and Wake Forest lost to BC. Will he get a chance to return this punt? He will, as he bobbles it at the 12. trying to get to the outside and can't. Wrestled down to the 24-yard line by Lance Brandenburg. Time to meet the kids from Wake Forest. Here's tight end Zach Selman.
Starting at quarterback, we got Brett Hodges, his first collegiate start today. That's okay, though. We got him backed up by Micah Andrews, a running back coming off a knee injury last year. Outside, we got Kenny Moore, big play receiver, a.k.a. Jamie Foxx. And up front, we got big Chris DeGear, a.k.a. security.
Really was an amazing 2006 for this Wake Forest offense. They won 11 games with really a third-string quarterback in Riley Skinner.
Yeah.
Hodges actually was ahead of him, then he got hurt. And a backup running back, Ken Moore, who we just mentioned, with 15 catches last week. He was playing running back last year. And here's Micah Andrews on first down, and he tries to pick a hole and can't find it. Only got 1 yard. Larry Asante on the tackle. Courtney Grixby, the Nebraska corner, introducing the defense.
Big guys, we got Big Sue in the middle at deep tackle. On the end, we got Barry Turner, the playmaker. Then we got the bully at the wheel linebacker, Steve Octavian. And at the Sam, we got Bo Rude. On the back end, we got the speedster, Tierre Green.
4 new starters on the defensive line for Nebraska as they're replacing a lot of good players, including first-round draft pick Adam Carricker. Out of the backfield, Andrews makes the catch and a good tackle out in space by Murillo at the 31-yard line. That's a gain of 5, and it will bring up a third down and short.
Well, that's what you want to do if you're the offensive coordinator, Steve Labatsky. He wants to get Brett Hodges a lot of easy throws early in this game, get his confidence up. Remember, we talked about him being ahead of Riley Skinner going into last season's first week. He injured his shoulder, and it was Skinner who stepped up and led this team to an ACC title in a BCS bowl game. But now Brett Hodges getting himself massaged into this football game.
On 3rd and 2, they're going to run Andrews, and he's got the first down to the 38-yard line. He picked up 6 before Courtney Grixby made the stop. Well, Hodges got to play last week against Boston College after Skinner got hurt and did pretty well.
And he goes right over Matthew Grimm right there. You see it, a nice little lane right there for the runner to get through. Micah Andrews, the son of the famous William Andrews, who started Auburn as well as the Atlanta Falcons. So a lot of talent, a lot of good bloodlines for Micah Andrews.
At the point that he got hurt last year in the Connecticut game, week 4, he was the nation's leading rusher, was having a great year. Then he tore his ACL. Only rushed for 7 yards last week. Wake Forest only rushed for 2 as that pass is intercepted by McEwen. Corey McEwen steps in front and picks off an errant throw by Brett Hodges. And Wake Forest, which lived off of takeaways last year, gives it away here in their first series of game 2.
You see him want to go to Micah Andrews here in the flat. It's taken away. He tries to come back inside to the tight end. You see the eyes go there, comes back inside, and then all of a sudden, Zach Selman, the tight end, he hooks up before where Brett Hodges wanted to throw the football, and that results right into the midst of Corey McEwen.
In relief of the injured Skinner last week, Hodges did throw a pick, but he also threw a touchdown pass. And Nebraska goes back to the ground with Lucky, bangs off of one man, and then thrown down to the 29 after a gain of about 8. Chip Vaughn on the stop for Wake Forest.
Well, you thought Wake Forest stopping Nebraska in that first drive would build some confidence, go down, move the football, and they did so. A first down or so in the first drive, and then the big interception. Now, this team was built last year. They won a lot of ball games, plus 13 in the turnover margin. They came into this one -1, and already early, Wake Forest turning the football over.
31 takeaways for the Wake defense a year ago, but essentially an all-new secondary. But they came up with a couple of takeaways last week, turned them into touchdowns. On 2nd and 2, they'll run Lucky again, and he gets the first down as he hurdles Alfonso Smith to the 26-yard line. Let's meet the Nebraska offense. Here's quarterback Sam Keller.
With the offense, we'll start up front with the most important unit, the big boys. We got the big tackles on the edge, Carl Nix and Leiden Murtha. Then right in front of me, you got my center, the captain, Brett Byford. Behind me, you got the always flashing Marlon Lucky. And last but not least, you got Terrence Nunn, the speedy wideout, always looking good.
And also Maurice Purify, who is playing today, and he makes the catch inside the 15-yard line and picks up the first down. First game of the year for Maurice Purify, who was arrested twice in the offseason, ended up pleading no contest to DUI and an assault charge. But after a 7-week suspension, he is back, and he is a big-time target for Sam Keller.
Yeah, Nate Swift started the season at that position, the X position at the receiver in the receiver corps. Purify averaged over 18 yards a reception last season. So you talk about a guy that can hit a home run. He is a big play receiver.
And gets Keller a first down at the 14-yard line of Wake Forest. Running play, Lucky can't slip a tackle down at the 11-yard line. Anthony Davis on the stop. Zach Stukes for Wake Forest will introduce the Demon Deacon defense.
Starting for our D-Dogs at defensive end, we got King Xerxes, Jeremy Thompson. In the middle, we got Mr. Untouchable, Boo Robinson. For the linebackers, we got the Haitian sensation, Stanley Arno. In that corner, we got Mr. Pahokee, Alfonso Smith. And at safety, the General, Chip Vaughn.
Well, they'll all have to be untouchable in the middle because they'll be tested, that defensive line, all throughout this ball game.
Nebraska just able to lean on Nevada last week for over 400 rushing yards. Keller to the air, and his pass is off target, incomplete. Todd Peterson, the intended receiver, now a flag flies in. Late penalty marker. Hard to tell if Peterson just stopped because he saw a Deacon defender or if that pass was just offline.
Well, he got tremendous pass rush from John Russell, the sophomore defensive tackle, getting in the face of Sam Keller. We'll get the official word here.
After the play, personal foul, 59 defense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Aaron Curry, third-team All-ACC last year, the outside linebacker, the Sam linebacker for Wake Forest. A little extracurricular after the play was over. You see it right here. Nice pressure by John Russell in there. That just kind of got to back off. That one's kind of splitting hairs. I don't know about that penalty.
So first down and goal from the 5-yard line. Hand off to Lucky. And nowhere to go as the Wake Forest defense stands him up at the point of attack.
Boy, this is the kind of game you want if you're a defensive lineman, or Stanley Arno, the linebackers. He leads that Wake Forest linebacking core. You want to play smash mouth. Well, guess what? You're going to get it with Nebraska. 70 times they ran the football last week. You see the red zone success right here last week, 44-51. Last year in the red zone. They're very, very efficient down here.
On second and goal, Keller, fade pattern to the corner, and it is knocked away by Purify. Alfonso Smith actually had a better chance at it than Purify did. It's incomplete.
Well, what a way to play the football. It's a great one-on-one matchup. You're talking about a guy 6'4", matched up against Alfonso Smith, who's only 5'9", but he makes the play here. Purify actually has to turn in to the defensive back to knock it away from Alfonso Smith. There, Keller. You look at it, Dave, he's been a little bit off the mark early in this football game with a little pressure, and Wake's going to bring that. They play a lot of cover one where they can get a lot of guys around the line of scrimmage. They're going to be in his face all day long.
The Nebraska coaches said they want Keller to manage the game, and he did that last week, but he did throw an interception that was returned for a touchdown against Nevada. Keller to the air, fade again on third down, and it's off the mark, intended for Peterson. And Nebraska will have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Hey, that's a small what?
Victory.
Small win for Wake Forest. You turn it over this deep in your own territory, and you're able to hold the offense to just a field goal attempt. That is a small victory for Jim Grove and his Wake Forest football team.
So Alex Henry will come on for the short field goal try of 22 yards. And Nebraska able to come up with 3 points off that Wake Forest turnover. But as you said, Andre, the Deacons will take that after what they saw on film from Nebraska's offense last week. Hodges pick. See if he bounces back when Wake Forest offense returns to the field when we come back to Wake Forest. We're in the middle of a construction site here at Grove Stadium. Yesterday, our crew getting ready and going up what's going to be the elevator to the brand new Deacon Tower, which will house the press as well as the president's box and also have premium seating. And actually, Andre and I were able to whittle this little press box out of beechwood. Good job, Dre. And if you're impressed with this hardware, it really looks better on Andre than it does on me. You'll be impressed with Andre's hardware for this week, which focuses on the physical, and the software, which focuses on the mental.
Well, the hardware being Nebraska and that big offensive unit, they got a lot of offensive linemen. They'll play as many as 8, 3 tight ends, 4 running backs, and 7 wide receivers. And on a hot, muggy, humid day, all that depth that on the offensive unit may come shining through.
Kevin Marion takes the kick return past the 25-yard line and up around the 30 before he's wrapped up and brought down at the 32 by Dan Erickson. Let's get your software for this game, Andre.
Well, it's the mental part of the kids getting over the loss of Riley Skinner, their leader, who stepped in, led them to an ACC championship and a BCS bowl game. And, it happened. Brett Hodges happens to be a computer science major, says he wants to be a legalized hacker. So if that doesn't qualify as software, nothing does.
Pretty good basketball player, too. He was the all-time leading scorer at his high school, replacing the injured Riley Skinner, who could be back in a couple of weeks when they play Maryland here in the 22nd. They run Andrews on first down straight ahead, and he gets about 3 yards. Let's check back in the studio, and here's Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, been looking for this week's Appalachian State. Look, I know it's very early, but Marshall and West Virginia over on ESPN2. Bernard Morris, so look how close he gets to the line of scrimmage there. Stays behind. And Darius Passmore, who wishes they would pass more to him. The Thundering Herd on top of number 3 by 4.
And Marshall, like Appalachian State, was a 1AA school at one point, had an excellent program. Hodges going deep, Marion wide open. Oh, he would have had a touchdown as he got about 5 yards behind the safety. And the pass by Hodges was right there.
Boy, I tell you what, Kevin Marion's going to wish he had this one back. What a well-thrown football by Brett Hodges. Gets behind Tierre Green, the free safety. You're going to see him here. Nice little post route over the top. And the quarterback rolls to draw the coverage, rolls away from the pressure, and you see the post over the top, throws it on the move and right in stride. Oh, my goodness. He'll wish he had that one back.
Had a career-high 5 catches last week after only 10 grabs all of last year. Got to come up with that if you're going to beat a team like Nebraska. And now 3rd and 7. Nebraska showing blitz. It's picked up and knocked away, incomplete. Murillo batted it down. It was intended again for Marion, and Wake Forest will have to punt.
Armando Murillo, junior college transfer, and good coverage there, but boy, they had a golden opportunity slip through their fingers. Kevin Marion running wide open behind the secondary. Brett Hodges reads the coverage on his short roll, delivers a very catchable football, and Wake unable to capitalize.
Grigsby will await the punt from All-American Sam Swank. Averaged 41 yards a boot last year, but only 31 last week in a loss to Boston College. And this is not a good kick at all. But it takes a Wake Forest bounce inside the 25-yard line, where it's down at the 22. Kevin Marion had a touchdown for Wake Forest, but through his hands, and it remains 3-0 Nebraska.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by McDonald's and ESPN Game Plan. See the most college football every Saturday. To order, call your pay-per-view provider. ESPN Game Plan lives here.
Back in Winston-Salem, the Nebraska fans travel about as well as anybody in the country, and a sea of red taking up about 2/3 of the 30,000-seat stadium as Nebraska's offense is back on the field. Keller's pass caught by Tifa Tiller, but only a couple of yards as Kevin Patterson brings him down. Let's give you a case in point. Back in 2000, look at this. Look at the Nebraska fans at Notre Dame.
Just a sea of red, and I tell you what, they represented very well here this afternoon, but a lot of fans, they travel very well, as well as any fan base in the entire country when it comes to college football.
Hard to know which team was home during warm-ups.
That's right.
Keller with time and finds Swift, and he's out to the 31 for about 6 yards. Back to the studio. Here's Reese.
All All right, Dave, updating now. We've got upsets in the making. I think Appalachian State's made everybody believe. Beatty Wells of Ohio State tackled by Breon Stokes of Akron. It's a safety, 2-0 Zips. The only time the Zips have ever beaten the Buckeyes, the head coach for Akron, John Heisman.
Well, you know, recent past years, you'd say, well, at some point, Ohio State,
it's early.
Get it going, it's early. But after last week, all bets are off, man.
You just don't know.
3rd down and 2. And Lucky gets the call, not going to get it. Torpedoed at the 31-yard line by Aaron Curry. And Nebraska's got a 4th down.
If you want to know how to stop the nation's leading rusher, it's get a bunch of hats around the line of scrimmage. You're going to have 7, 8 guys in the box, and right there, showing up in bunches. Wake Forest on Marlon Lucky. Well, that's what you got to do. That's exactly what you got to have. Step up, turn them away on 3rd downs, force punts, and you're going to get some excellent field position to start your drive.
Kenny Moore back to receive the punt from Dan Titchener. Titchener's first boot was an excellent one, just over 50 yards.
He can hit them.
Moore going to let this one bounce. It'll roll all the way inside the 20-yard line to the 19. Well, Bill Callahan's offense dominant last week, struggling a bit here in week 2 at Wake Forest. This telecast is available on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. Back in Winston-Salem, Nebraska leading the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest 3-0. Those points coming off a turnover. Jim Grobe, the National Coach of the Year in 2006, coming off a school record 11 wins. And a running play on 1st down to Kenneth Moore, and he gets about 6 yards. Grobe signed a new 10-year deal in February. We got a chance, Andre, to talk with him yesterday. And just a great man to talk to, very forthcoming and very beloved by his players and assistants.
I'll tell you what, he's a great guy to work for. The coaches love showing up for work. When the boss has the character of a guy like Jim Grobe, had the team's the nation's biggest turnaround last year, going from 4-7 in 05 to 11-3 last year.
Andrews cut down after a gain of maybe a half yard. Philip Dillard with the tackle. Well, there were some huge wins for Wake Forest last year, including a shutout against Bobby Bowden in Tallahassee. And Jim Grobe said it just kind of rolled on from there. It snowballed as Wake Forest beat Georgia Tech in the ACC championship by a 9-6 score. 3 Sam Swank field goals. Ended up losing to Louisville in the Orange Bowl. First bowl game in 5 years, and it's a BCS Bowl for Wake Forest.
I'll tell you what, Sam Swank is a weapon for this Demon Deacon football team.
Yeah, he was their MVP last year. There's a 1st down to Kenny Moore. 15 catches last week. Brixby on the tackle downfield, but it's a Wake 1st down.
I'll tell you what impresses you about this Wake Forest offense is that the receivers are on the same page with whoever plays quarterback. You watch Kenneth Moore just kind of hook up over the middle here, right on time, in rhythm with the football. Brett Hodges, get it in your playmaker's hands and let him do the damage to the defense. 15 receptions last week for Kenneth Moore.
That tied a school record. The ACC record is 16. He would have gotten that, but he missed the entire 3rd quarter because of dehydration.
15 receptions and missed the 3rd quarter. They've had 25.
Those are numbers that Andre Ware's receivers had back in Houston. Andrews, as a flag flies in, bumped out at the 46. Got 7 yards, but again, a penalty marker in on the play.
I think this is going to be a hold on the receiver, Kevin Marion, outside trying to pave a way for Micah Andrews. And a holding outside on the edge.
Legal block in the back. 14 offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 1st down.
And defensive back was kind of slipping away from him. Ended up blocking him in the back. And this one's going to be assessed from the spot of the foul.
Meanwhile, let's check in with Reese Davis in the studio.
Boy, Sam Bradford doing some work early in the college football season.
Pass to Andrews incomplete. Oklahoma beat Nebraska in the Big 12 title game last year. Nebraska fortunate that it does not have to play OU We'll have to go to Missouri and Texas and USC on ABC next Saturday night, but no Oklahoma.
That almost seems like a game that should always take place each and every year. Oklahoma, Nebraska, every year in the Big 12. It should be, you should just stamp it, set your clock by it, and every year look forward to it.
Hodges out of the gun on 2nd and 15. And the pass complete, but only a gain of about 3 yards. Zachary Bowman on the tackle of Chip Brinkman.
The thing about this Wake Forest offense, when you watch them on film, they get the ball out fast, so there's not going to be a whole lot of pressure on Brett Hodges. Even in blitz type situations, the receivers have options where they break it off, they read and communicate extremely well with one another. They're always on the same pages, so there's really no pressure on the quarterback in this offense. They set it up, they get the ball out quick, and allow the receivers to make plays.
Only 2 rushing yards last week for them offensively.
Already ahead of that pace.
Yep. And they allowed 408 yards passing last week. Handoff to Andrews, trying to get away from McEwen, who had the interception earlier in the game, but cannot. Corey McEwen, second team all Big 12 last year, takes down Andrews, and Wake Forest will have to punt again.
He made a couple of nice moves, and then he runs into his center, Steve Justice, who was by some publications a first team All-American, and he makes all the calls up front, but he made a nice move, stepped back, tried to start again, and ran right into the big lineman.
Swing, we were just talking about, very instrumental in the ACC title for Wake Forest last year with a good punt, and it's fair caught at the 21-yard line by Courtney Grigsby. Tonight, ESPN offers up 2 great college football matchups. First at 6 Eastern, can Jimmy Clausen get it done, the true freshman quarterback? Notre Dame looking to score more than a field goal against Penn State. And then at 9:15 Eastern time, really a huge game for the ACC, Andre. Virginia Tech and LSU. Last week, the ACC went 5-3 in non-conference games. That was the worst record of any major conference.
Right.
And they get a chance at SEC country tonight to beat LSU.
First and foremost, I think Notre Dame's in trouble. Going into Happy Valley, that's going to be a tough one. Penn State could just basically pace them.
Keller's pass is caught, going down as Terrence Nunn to make the grab. Back to Aaron Andrews, who's down on the field.
Dave, just to give you a little insight into tonight's game, Penn State, Notre Dame, I had a chance to talk with Nittany Lions defensive coordinator Tom Bradley last night, and he said while Charlie Weiss did go ahead and name their starting quarterback, he said still Penn State is not sure who they're going to throw at us and for how long. Their 2 quarterbacks have 2 different styles. And then for Penn State's side of things, he said, we only have 1 senior on our defense. So at the same time, we have so many young guys. We're trying to get out there, play fast, and figure out what we're doing.
Well, Penn State at home, obviously going to be a difficult place for Jimmy Clausen to play. And with 3 quarterbacks going last week for Notre Dame, you wonder, will Clausen be able to go the whole game?
How'd you like to make your first collegiate start at Penn State in front of 100,000 noisy, crazy, rowdy fans? But they've got to find a way for him to communicate with the rest of that offensive unit, get him settled down and into that game early to even have a chance.
Here's Lucky on 2nd and 4, just batters into the line. Anthony Davis on the stop. What about that other game tonight? You got Virginia Tech. I mean, everybody's ripping the ACC. Wake Forest loses at Boston College last week as the defending ACC champion. Virginia Tech struggles with East Carolina. Now they got to go play LSU.
I'll give it to you in 3 letters. LSU. At home, that's a tough place to go play, especially at night. The fans have had all day to get ready for that ball game. Tough, hostile environment. I got to like LSU. It's big against Virginia Tech.
Timeout called by Nebraska as the Wake Forest fans starting to get into it. And a 3rd and 2 for Bill Callahan when we come back.
The 25 greatest players in college football history, presented by IBM, coming in 1 week. IBM, getting it done.
And we'll reveal 25 through number 1 over the course of the season, announcing the greatest player in college football in the last week of the regular season. Andre Ware. Andre Ware.
I'm still trying to figure out what you got to do to get on that list. You know, you win a Heisman, you get in the College Football Hall of Fame, you don't make the list to even get voted on. So, no, but it's some good names. Bo Jackson was one that I pegged. There's some exciting players on that list.
I have some connections. I'm going to try to write you in, all right? Get you on that ballot. Meanwhile, Nebraska, which They'll likely have some players on that top 25 of all time with a 3rd down and 2.
Mike Rozier,
another Heisman Trophy winner. And Keller loses the ball. It's loose at the 38-yard line. And Wake Forest comes up with it. Recovered by Zach Stukes for the Demon Deacons. First turnover today by Nebraska.
Well, you knew they were going to force some turnovers in this football game, and it was just a bad quarterback center exchange. If you're Sam Keller at this point, you're just trying to get on the football. You'll see it come between his legs right there. Just fall on it. Just fall on it. And now Zach Stukes comes up with it. Wake Forest, we mentioned it last year, plus 13 in turnover margin. That won them a lot of close ball games. When you can force those turnovers, 31 takeaways the last year. You can force that. You're going to keep yourself in a lot of ball games. You're going to win a lot of ball games.
And now Wake Forest takes over on the Nebraska 38-yard line. Hodges to the air on 1st and 10, and just going to throw it out of bounds. Marion upset. He was open for a moment, and Hodges did not see him or waited too long. And
timing was bad. He looked there and peeked away from it, and then all of a sudden Marion's coming out of his out route, and he's wide open. Brett Hodges had his eyes back towards the middle of the field and just kind of missed him, but he does the smart thing there, Dave. Throw the football away, live to come back on 2nd down. You know, a 1st down here and you're in field goal range, you want to get some points out of this turnover.
Especially with a kicker like Sam Swank. Running play, Kevin Harris, and a flag down as Harris gets maybe a yard. Andre Jones, the first to greet Harris.
I think this is going to be a motion penalty on Kevin Marion, who actually wanted to seal the backside defensive end off, and he started towards the line of scrimmage a little bit early. So this one may be against Wake Forest here.
And right now they're still kind of in Sam Swank's range.
Illegal motion. Offense. Decline. 3rd down.
Check in with Reese back in the studio.
All right, Dave, the team with the nation's longest losing streak is Duke. They've dropped 21 in a row. They've dropped 17 straight ACC games on their way to 18 against Virginia. That is Cedric Pierman, and he has no peer dressed in white for the Blue Devils. Not long until Coach K starts basketball season. 14-0, Virginia's on top.
Well, you know, Duke, Reese almost knocked off Wake Forest last year. That was really the win that catapulted Wake as they blocked a last-second field goal to beat Duke. Hodges on 3rd down completes it, fighting for the 1st down, and going to be very close is Ken Moore at the 29-yard line. What do you do, Andre Ware, if you're short?
It's decision time. I think you take the points. You got a nice weapon in Sam Swank if you're indeed short, but it is close. And Bo Rudd actually had a chance to make the tackle to keep Kenneth Moore about a yard or two short of that 1st down. He was going for the strip and missed the tackle and allowed Kevin Moore to get himself close. Well, I tell you what, it's going to be close. They're going to get to the 2nd quarter of this one. They don't have to run a play. But it seems as though Brett Hodges wants to get one called here.
Only 5 seconds to go in the quarter. 4th down and 1. Big Richard Belton at 260 pounds is the fullback. And now the end of the quarter. And this will give Jim Grobe an opportunity maybe to think again about it. So 4th down and 1. Will Grobe stick with going for it, or will he change his mind and go for what might be a sure thing with Sam Swank and a field goal? Fourth and 1 to go or not to go? That is the question,
well,
Mr. Ware.
This is the guy I would choose right here. But, you know, it's early. You got turnovers. Here we go.
They're going to go, and, oh, it's a bootleg, and it's going to be a 1st down for Hodges. Great ball fake by Hodges. Fooled the entire Nebraska defense, and it's a 1st down for Wake Forest.
Boy, he pulled Larry Asante, the free safety or the strong safety, comes up from the outside. He gets completely fooled here. Nice play fake by Brett Hodges. You'll see him stick the ball in there, ride it, hide it. Now all of a sudden he can't get back outside. I'm going to walk for the 1st down right here. Get yourself down, protect your body.
Ball at the Nebraska 22. This time they do hand it off, and powering into the linebacking core is Kevin Harris. Tierre Green, the safety, makes the hit.
And doesn't it surprise you in this football game that Wake Forest seems to be the more physical football team? Nebraska running the ball 70 times. You hear about all this depth they have on the offensive line. Well, defensively, Wake Forest has met the challenge, and now their offensive line is asserting themselves on this Nebraska defense.
And the Wake Forest coaches said we're going to run the ball more this week. We kind of went away from it last week, and the Nebraska coaches were surprised that they didn't run it more in their loss at Boston College. Back to the ground, Kevin Harris again, and gets maybe a yard. Third down coming up at first. Here's Reitz.
All right, Dave, Alabama on the road at Vanderbilt. The Commodores haven't beaten the Tide since 1984. They tried that rugby punt, and Javier Arenas, who is Gilbert Arenas' cousin, and Agent Zero is thinking more about 7. Javier Arenas down the sideline. He'll step out of bounds on the 1. Terry Grant scored. Look, he officially lost his footing over there. Tied up 7-0.
All right, Reese, and Armando Murillo, who is the starting corner for Nebraska, is also a cousin of the two gentlemen that Reese just mentioned. Trying to come up with a stop here, and it's an end around to Marion inside the 10 and to the 6-yard line for the first down. So Marion bounces back after dropping what would have been a 65-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter.
Well, you kind of want to go back to one of your playmakers. You know, he had the big drop. You're going to see the nice motion here. He's going to pick the ball up, going to pick up a few blocks here out on the edges. Watch everybody, body on a body, and then now chopping guys down in the open field. Wake Forest as good as anybody in the country in terms of blocking in space with the wide receivers. And, you know, we're talking to Steve Labotsky yesterday, the offensive coordinator, said they wanted to change things up. Last week against Boston College, wanted to make BC think pass all the time. They were in a 2-point stance. This week he went back to the 3-point stance for the offensive lineman, which allows them to get off the ball with power first and foremost, engage into those big Nebraska defensive linemen and get some push. So far it's working in terms of being physical against this big Nebraska defense.
Steed's father, a big Avengers fan, named his son after John Steed, the name of the character in the old show Avengers. First down and goal at the 6-yard line. Martin with nowhere to go, slammed down as a marker flies in by Zach Porter and Bo Rude.
Well, when it comes flying in like that, that's usually a bad sign for the offense. It's usually a hold right in the middle of that formation. Bo Rude, boy, everybody, seems like everybody in his family either played or attended Nebraska.
Face mask.
Oh, a little face mask on the defense. I'll tell you what, a lot of breaks right now for Wake Forest.
And that's on Rude. And you're talking about some of his family members, brother Barrett, all-time leading tackler in Nebraska.
Yeah, it was a second-round pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His father, Tom, played there. Uncles, Bob, John. Grandfather played for the Huskers. The whole family. If you were male in the Rude household, you went through, you grew up, and you played at Nebraska.
It seems like everybody in Nebraska either is related to Rude, has a cousin that's named Gilbert Arenas, or is somehow related to Amon Green of the now Houston Texans.
That's right.
So first down and goal from the 3. They give it to Harris, and he's going to get thrown down back at the 9-yard line. And Ndamukong Suh, who is the first player from the state of Oregon to get a scholarship in Nebraska, makes the play.
Well, he comes through, and it's just he and Kevin Harris in the hole. You'll see him here just fight right around. Nice job of kind of getting the offensive line off him, using his hands and right into the running back. Ndamukong Suh right there. His name means House of Spears.
And that was
he came piercing through on that play.
Very good. On second and goal, again Harris, and again nothing. Zach Potter replacing first-round draft pick Adam Carricker, now with the Rams, at 6'7", 280 pounds, moves pretty well, makes the play there. It's a third and goal.
I got to believe Steve Labotsky is setting up a nice little bootleg for Brett Hodges, the quarterback. You're going to see it right here. No push up front. Nebraska getting lower and making the push. Zach Potter filling in for Adam Carricker. And that defensive end spot, they're getting the better of the exchange now up front in the trenches.
7 straight running plays for Wake Forest. But Hodges to the air on 3rd down and goal. And he's going to take off and he's going to lose a yard as Bo Ruud throws him down to the 8-yard line. 4th down for Wake Forest.
I thought it was there early if they run the quarterback draw. It was there. They spread the field against Nebraska. Nobody in the middle. But then he waited just a tad bit too long to make the decision to run the football. I thought, about 2nd down, that bootleg was set up. The same one that they had when they got the 1st down, showing it inside and bootlegging Brett Hodges for a big 1st down. It was there about 2nd down. They chose to run the ball. Now they find themselves in a field goal attempt situation.
Swank, a school record, 23 field goals last year. Had a game in which he kicked 3 50-yarders against NC State. That's an NCAA record, so that 25-yarder nothing for him. And both teams with a field goal off the opponent's turnover. We're tied in the 2nd quarter.
I'm going to make this short and sweet. Grab this sweet deal or you're going to make me very unhappy. Take your pick. Happy, unhappy.
With a new sweeter pizza sauce and 4 cheese blend, our sweet deal is irresistible. Get a medium classico with zesty sausage, pepperoni, onions, and mushrooms, and a medium pepperoni pizza, both with our sweeter pizza sauce and 4 cheese blend, plus an order of cinnamon monkey bread, just $19.99.
Godfather's Pizza's new sweet deal. Order it today. Make me happy.
Well, the Wake Forest offensive line struggling as Wake Forest had a 1st and goal at the 2, then 3 straight negative rushing plays. Had to settle for a 25-yard field goal. And a 12-play, 30-yard drive. You don't see that very often. After a turnover by Nebraska, so each team coming up with field goals off of turnovers and after 1st and goals.
He is about as automatic as there is. Sam Swank, the kicker for Wake Forest. And you get him to down inside anywhere inside the 40, it's pretty much automatic.
Swank kicking off to Grigsby. Last year that would have been about 4 yards deep in the end zone. Instead, Grigsby is on his way past the 30 and out to the 32-yard line. Back to the studio we go. Here's Reese Davis.
Well, Dave, let's hope that Ohio State fans didn't spend too much time laughing at Michigan this week. Akron's up 2-0 on the Buckeyes, and Todd Beckman throws it right to the aptly named Reggie Corner, who plays corner for the Zips. He had the pick on the 6 rather than the pick 6. Akron still leading by a deuce. Marshall on ESPN2. They have outrushed, they have outpassed West Virginia, and in Huntington, they lead by 7.
Wow, a couple of upsets on the horizon.
I mean, is this not the weirdest start to a college football season that you can remember?
Well, what I think is happening all across the college football scene, 85 scholarships, and now everything's kind of getting spread out where these other conferences, other Division I AA schools are getting some talent that would normally go to the larger schools, and now it's kind of leveling the playing field. You're going to get some good college football games.
Lucky with no gain on that play.
Thinking you're getting layups, all of a sudden you're in a fight.
Now the Associated Press allowing now 1 AA teams to have been to be ranked. And some people in this state, where Appalachian State is located about 90 miles from here, would have put Appalachian State in there. And a pass that's caught by none. The best throw yet today, maybe of the season for Sam Keller. That was right on the money. And a 1st down at the Wake Forest 41.
And he gets behind Kerry Major, the cornerback, who was basically a special teams player last year. Beats him on a nice little corner route. You're going to see right here Sam Keller looking, sorting things out. Had Nate Swift in front of him, but he chooses to go over the top to Terrence Nunn on a nice corner route. Nice ball. Well executed football play.
26-yard pickup. Nunn second all time in catches at Nebraska in 29 in a row. Games with the reception. 1st down to the 41. And Keller back to the air. Tried for Lucky, and the pass behind him. Alfonso Smith on the coverage.
Well, he is lucky. They're trying to find any way possible to get him the football. And then going back to Sam Keller. He threw the nice completion there to Terrence Nunn, but he has been just kind of inconsistent throwing the football this afternoon. And just over a quarter's worth of work. He's going to have to get himself settled in. You think the nice little easy throw out to Marlon Lucky, a nice hitch route, 6 out of 10, but it seems like he's been a little bit worse than that.
Another pass play on 2nd down and 10. Keller has a wide open France Hardy, to the 26-yard line for a 15-yard gain. Checking down on the field, here's Aaron.
Dave, just to add to Andre's point about Sam Keller, over on the sidelines before the offense came out, head coach Bill Callahan was telling Keller to settle down. Remember, he told us he wanted to see Sam come out poised and ready to go. He's learned to live in the moment, but Keller also added to us the other day that he said while he thought he did well in the last game, he said things were coming at him a little fast. He was out all last year, guys.
Yeah, and known as a gunslinger when he was at Arizona State. Again, to Andre's point about the inconsistency, looking to sling it here on first down, and we see the arm strength as he completes it to Nate Swift at the 15-yard line. I mean, that's from the near hash all the way to the far sideline.
Yeah, he's a big guy, 6'4", 230. Watched him in warm-up, and he's got arm strength. Now, you see here, going to take a nice drop, nice play fake, and right in rhythm, throwing a ball, an out route all the way across the field. We'll see him here. Favorite food, ribs. Who doesn't like a good rack of ribs, you know?
And a big Top Gun fan, and he wasn't the Top Gun at Arizona State anymore, and that's why he's here. Rudy Carpenter was named the starter by Dirk Cutter 2 days after Cutter named Keller the starter. Cutter is now gone in the NFL as an assistant coach, and Keller trying to throw a touchdown here for Nebraska. Instead, almost gets it intercepted by Alfonso Smith.
You know, when I watched this Wake Forest defense on film, they play very good man-to-man defense. They got beat one time to Terrence Nunn on the outside of the nice corner route. They should go back to that, because now they have gone to zone coverage in the last 2 or 3 downs, which has allowed a big, huge windows for Sam Keller to throw into. Nice route out to Nate Swift, the out route, a nice little completion to Franz Hardy, who was wide open. Get up on those receivers and make them beat you.
Let's see if they go back to the air here on 2nd down and 10.
Now they're showing blitz.
And Lucky hasn't carried it in a while, and here he gets it, and a big gap down to the 5-yard line is Lucky. A gain of 8. And a 3rd and short coming up. Aaron Curry tripped him up. Otherwise, that's 6 for Lucky.
Well, they kind of getting those big offensive line. They're getting the splits out and kind of spreading this defense. You see here, nice splits, good push, just kind of engaging the bodies. And now there's a nice, huge hole for Marlon Lucky to run through.
And a 3rd down and 2 from the Wake Forest 6-yard line. Nebraska yet to convert a 3rd down today, 0 for 4. Lucky not going to get it.
Nowhere to go.
Good job by John Russell and Michael Lockett. Jeremy Thompson, who played as a true freshman last year.
I think this is the absolute right call here for Bill Callahan. You take points. You're on the road. It's early in a football game. It's not a short situation. It'd be about 4th and a long 2. So you take the points here, go ahead and kick the field goal.
This kind of like last year for Wake Forest. They gave up a lot of yards, but not a lot of points.
Bend but don't break.
Alex Henry, who is the short field goal kicker, already hit a 22-yarder. On for another 22-yard field goal. And Nebraska leads Wake Forest 6-3. Low-scoring affair midway through the 2nd on a hot day. About 90 degrees here in Winston-Salem. Battle of field goals midway through the 2nd with Nebraska on top of Wake Forest. 2 trips inside the 5, but 2 field goals for the Cornhuskers. And time now for our Aflac trivia question. Who is Nebraska's only Butkus Award winner? That is a good one. You think of all the great defensive players they've had here. Only one.
That is a good one.
Butkus Award winner, linebacker of the year. Think about that one for a little bit. Meanwhile, Kanalik will kick it away to Kenneth Moore and Kevin Marion.
Bo Root is on everybody's list for everything. Lombardi, Lott, Bednarik, Butkus, everything. It's not him.
Nope. It'll be taken by Moore at the 2. Past the 20 and slammed down at the 23. Here's Reese in the studio.
All right, a couple of updates for you, Dave. First, Miami and Oklahoma, and Sam Bradford drills one into Malcolm Kelly. 2nd time those two have hooked up on the day. Sooners up 14-3, and I mean they look dominant. West Virginia and Marshall on ESPN2. A sluggish first half for the Mountaineers, but Darius Renaud gets the Pat White pass and takes it to the house. Tied up at 13. It's on ESPN2.
You had to figure that West Virginia was going to get themselves back in that one. But Oklahoma, with a quarterback that can throw, we know they can run the football. But look out for OU this season.
Here's Hodges on the keeper, and he jaunts out of bounds after a gain of about 5 yards. Hodges starting for the injured Riley Skinner, and here's Aaron with Riley.
Dave, thank you so much. Well, first of all, Riley out, of course, because of that shoulder injury. What's the latest on that?
Rehab's going really good. They've been surprised how well it's coming along, and you know, we're hoping by Maryland we should be ready to go. That's our plan.
Well, you've been very close to Brett Hodges throughout the game. I know you guys have been talking. What have you been telling him in his ear throughout this matchup?
You know, we just been talking a lot. Just, you know, we're really good friends. Just talking about the coverages and what's going on and how it is to play with this crowd and against Nebraska. But mainly just telling him to stay calm. You know, it's a long game. It's not just, I know it's easy to get hyped up within a quarter or two, but, you know, you got 2 more after that. And he's doing a really good job. He's taking care of the ball. You know, he's being smart with his play calls. And but we knew, you know, it's not a surprise. We knew he was going to do good. We have all the confidence in the world in him. So.
Well, from over here on the sidelines, any adjustments you'll tell him about at the half that you think he needs to make?
Yeah, we got some stuff to tell him. We see some coverages that you know, it may be hard to see out there, but we think we can capitalize on. So we'll definitely talk about it in halftime.
Riley, thanks, Dave.
All right, let's see how he does here, Aaron, on 3rd down, and he's got a completion and a 1st down to Josh Adams out of the backfield. Hodges was the number 3 behind Skinner going into last year, but he got hurt. Ben Mock, the starter, got hurt. Riley Skinner ends up being the ACC Rookie of the Year.
Well, he gets the ball out here. You're going to see his running back, Josh Adams, right here. Get out in the flat, make a nice quick decision, get the ball to your playmakers as quickly as you possibly can. Allow him to work in the open field. He comes up with a big 1st down for Wake Forest.
See the numbers so far. Here's a play fake. Hodges looking deep. He's got a man downfield wide open. It's Marion. Will he catch it this time? Yes! Inside the 5, and it's a Wake Forest touchdown! He dropped one in the 1st quarter, but not that time. And Wake takes the lead. They're going to say, though, first that the officials have to talk about where he stepped out.
Well, I thought he was clearly going to get himself into the end zone. They're going to rule him out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. But I'll tell you what, one of the hardest things to do for a quarterback is to come back and throw the same exact ball that you had for a touchdown to a receiver again the next possession or somewhere in the ball game. You're going to see him here, nice little short roll, and you're going to all of a sudden he's going to get a nice big post route over the top, lays it in there, and Kevin Marion making sure that he catches that one. He goes out of bounds right there. Good camera work right about the 1-yard line.
Well, the official in the end zone put his arms up, touchdown, and then you see the field judge who had a better view of it.
Yeah, it's the right foot right about there. He doesn't get in. It's the absolute right call. And man, know where you are on the field, kind of taking it for granted, trying to stretch it in. Yeah, he may want him to call him out at the 1-yard line because he fumbles it back out the back of the end zone. See it right here, trying to get in.
Watch the ball.
That right there, just close, ever so close.
Well, they can review the whole play here, and you watch the ball, and if he didn't step out of bounds, where did he lose the ball? Did the ball cross the plane of the goal line? If it didn't and it goes out of the end zone, it's a touchback.
Yeah, and it's Nebraska's ball at the 20-yard line, and that's why I'm saying he's kind of going to want to hope that they...
Video confirmed the ruling on the field. 1st down.
Yeah, and he kind of gets lucky there because otherwise it's Nebraska's football, so you want the officials to rule it out at the 1. And set you up at first and goal to goal from the 1-yard line. Now get low in the trenches, get you some push, get those big guys moving, get them incorporated into what you're doing, and push, get yourself into the end zone.
Nebraska has to rush 5 players onto the field for the 1st down and goal at the 1. Josh Adams, redshirt freshman, is the backs, and Hodges going to keep pushing for the goal line.
I don't think he got in.
And he did not. They're going to rule him down shy of the goal line.
I'm telling you, they could show it, have a nice play fake, and he will walk himself into the end zone.
You're talking on a bootleg.
On a bootleg. It's there for him. It was there the last time they were in this situation, about 2nd down. And they kept trying to push Nebraska backwards. They will not move up front or go over the top.
Hodges going to try to sneak it. Again, no signal. After the premature signal on the touchdown, I think this crew of officials is going to be very careful. And they're going to rule that he's down, that he didn't get in. I thought he got in.
I thought he was clearly in.
Well, the last drive, Wake Forest, everybody's had trouble inside the 5 today.
Yeah, try to go to Kevin Harris. He gets stopped short, come right back, second down. Kevin Harris again, and then they try to throw it. Hodges tries to take off running. They come up short and have to settle for a Sam Swank field goal. Boy, this, you talk about momentum shifting back to the Nebraska sideline if they're able to come up with a stop here.
They're going to
maybe review this one
to see where the ball was. Again, it's not the body, it's the ball. And it looked like Hodges' body was in, but where was the ball? Was it?
It gets so cramped up when you just go on a quarterback sneak that it's going to be hard for the replay officials to find out exactly where that ball is, because he'll seek the ball and start to push himself towards the end zone, but you lose the ball in the camera angle. Yeah, here we go. Right here, you'll see him seat the ball and try to get pushed. Now it's almost impossible to tell where the ball is, so you got to go with what the officials ruled on the field in that circumstance.
And again, the officials being very careful after the last play, where there was a conference to make sure that Marion did not get in the end zone on that long pass play of 61 yards.
You know, it's set up to just get it right, and you know, you take a look, you can't find it.
Got an ACC replay official and Big 12 officials on the field.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Yeah.
Third down.
There's no way to really determine from that replay where the ball was located in reference to where he was blown down. So you got to go with the ruling on the field.
All right, do you sneak it like you did the last 2 times, or
you know,
bootleg here?
I think you go to Josh Adams over the top. They've tried to push Nebraska a couple of different times, even in another series of downs, with no luck.
No, it's going to be Hodges sneaking it off the right side, and no signal yet. He is in. Touchdown, Wake Forest. It took a while, but eventually the Deacons hit pay dirt and take the lead.
Well, this time he gets the football, but takes a step back. And Chris DeGear, his right guard, and Jeff Griffin, you'll see him take a step and come around to this side right there. And that's just kind of getting in, just breaking the plane. Hodges family there, mom, dad, making everybody happy.
Coming up from Winter Springs, Florida, where Hodges is from. Now Swank on for the extra point.
Well, we got a ball game.
And remember, it could easily be 17-6 if not for a drop by Marion in the first quarter. But he comes up big on this drive. 61-yard pass play that sets up a 1-yard touchdown run by Hodges. Reese here, Keller on first down as a flag flies. Keller going to get sacked at the 17. We'll wait to see what the penalty flag is. Andre, you surprised by what's going on with some of these Big Ten teams struggling out of conference?
Well, it doesn't surprise me what Oklahoma's doing, but it does surprise me that, you know, with Michigan State now, Bowling Green got them on the ropes. They lead that one 14-7. So, you know, it's just kind of parity around the country when you start talking about that 85 scholarship limit. There's going to be some good players moving around.
96 fits, 15 yards, previous spot, first down.
That's on Boo Robinson, on Brett Byford, the captain center for Nebraska.
You see it right in the middle of your screen here, matched up right in front, kind of getting the hands a little bit high right there. You see it right there in the face mask. You know, you get in there and you're battling and you're trying to get leverage and you don't realize where those hands are going. But once it rakes across that face mask, you kind of got to get it, let it go.
We're talking about Bowling Green. They had that win over Minnesota last week, trying to do it again to Michigan State today. That's where we'll be next Saturday against Pittsburgh, as Keller's pass is off target, incomplete, intended for Nate Swift.
All right, Boo Robinson there, a little pressure up the middle again on Sam Keller, and he throws way wide left to Nate Swift. It just has really looked uncomfortable in this football game. He's a big guy, 6'4", 230. You see the numbers here from Arizona State. His career there, 4-4 as a starter. But today, this afternoon, has struggled a little bit in this first half.
Let's remember, too, not only is he a starter in Nebraska trying to redeem himself after kind of a weird situation at Arizona State, as Lucky takes it into close to Wake Forest territory, at the 47-yard line. But Keller's also replacing the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in Zach Taylor. People forget that.
He had an outstanding season, Zach Taylor, and led this offense for a couple of years. Those are big shoes to fill if you're stepping in, and you kind of got spoiled at the quarterback position if you're Nebraska the last couple of seasons with Zach Taylor.
Keller hurt his thumb as a junior and then lost his starting job to Rudy Carpenter, transferred to Nebraska, and Purify cannot pull it in on third down. They're going to rule that it's a couple officials are saying complete, the other two are saying incomplete. The ball definitely came out. That's an incompletion.
Absolutely. There's an absolute correct call. The back judge finally gets in there to wave it off.
Incomplete. Fourth down.
And this is going to bring up a fourth down situation. You see Sam Keller here rolling, going to Purify. Should have had this ball. But then, I don't know. If you review that one, don't know if it touches the ground. You see him right there. Just a little bit right down in there where the nose of the football comes out. Purify unable to come up with it. And Wake Forest holding again. All of a sudden, plenty of momentum on the sideline of Wake Forest.
See Keller's numbers up top there, 9 of 16. Great job by our guys in the truck getting us that look there of Purify's drop. But yeah, Wake Forest defense coming off a game in which they gave up over 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. Really stepping up today against Keller and Nebraska.
Well, we heard so much about Marlon Lucky coming in and the nation's leading rusher and running the ball 70 times. Nebraska's gone back to the days of old, and it's been this Wake Forest football team, I thought, that's been more physical. They were named the best offensive line in the ACC by a lot of publications, so they've been the physical team here. And sometimes you hear so much about the other guy, they've forgotten about you. You have to go into a football game thinking, I'm going to be the guy that asserts the action.
Bill Callahan challenging this, so he calls timeout to challenge. You only get one challenge per game in college.
If he sees this angle right here, you're going to see the ball right there. Just touch right around there. You see it come out, it touches, it comes right back into the mitt of Maurice Purify. That one's an incomplete pass.
Yeah, Purify bobbling it, and the other angle better because that angle looks like a catch, but the technical advisor will have the benefit of this angle.
When we talked about the success of Nebraska running the football last week, 413 yards running the football against Nevada, only 27 today on the ground. Talk about a 180.
You see the yellow dashes there at the top of your screen. Nebraska has called a timeout to challenge it, and that's why there's only 2 dashes there. They'll get that timeout back if the challenge is overruled.
Ruling on the field. Video evidence confirmed the ruling.
Yes.
Pass is complete. Fourth down.
That's a good job with our camera crew there.
With a timeout.
Because that is a tough one to see, but it was clearly out. The nose of the football touches. And now Nebraska only going to work with 1 timeout the remainder of this first half.
And your challenge is gone. You know, in the NFL, Bill Callahan, when he was with the Raiders, you have the benefit of having a guy in the booth whose job is to watch and see if that should be reviewed, then tells the coach on the field. And this is still relatively new to the folks in college football, so they're still working out the kinks of when and when not to challenge a play.
And for Wake Forest here, you want to make sure Kenneth Moore fields this punt.
And it's fair caught at the 14-yard line.
Just make sure you secure it.
So Wake Forest will start inside the 15. Back to Reese.
All right, Dave, coming up on the Pontiac Performance halftime report, you see we have some comfortable surroundings. We've lost Lou, but we'll find him by halftime and talk about the Mountaineer fears. Marshall's giving West Virginia all it could possibly want. Oklahoma looks like a national championship contender, though it is very early, we know. And Virginia Tech and LSU, the battle in the Bayou. We'll get a report from Baton Rouge. See you in a bit.
All right, guys, hope you're enjoying those couches and that air conditioning.
They look comfortable.
Steamy here. 90 degrees, very humid. Wake Forest ball leading 10-6, and Ken Moore, who played running back last year because of all the injuries at that position, Picks up about 16 yards and a first down.
Well, you're going to see it here. Just a nice little around trying to get him involved in this. You see him coming in motion here. Takes a nice little handoff underneath, and you see the blocks right there down the field. That's what does it and sells the play for Wake Forest. The ability to get down, engage into the defenders, and allow the runner to make a cut.
So first down to the 33, and another end around. This time it's Kevin Marion. And he's banged out a play by Courtney Grigsby at the 40-yard line. Got about 6 or 7. All right, we had our Aflac trivia question. Who was the only Butkus Award winner from Nebraska? And here is the answer.
I'm not sure. I'm still in a fog on this question.
On this one, Trev Alberts.
1993. We should have known that.
The top 10 NFL draft pick by the Colts. 2nd and 3 from the 40-yard line. Here's a redshirt freshman, Josh Adams. And you wonder, is Micah Andrews just not 100% from that ACL injury less than a year ago, and that's why Adams, a redshirt freshman, is out there.
Not only Wake Forest seems like the more physical team in this ball game, they seem faster as well, getting to the edges. They've gotten some push up the middle. Now Josh Adams comes in relief of Micah Andrews, but then the 2 end-arounds, consecutive plays back-to-back with Kenneth Moore and Kevin Marion, they just seem to be a little bit faster than this Cornhusker defense.
Which was entirely different from what we saw on film watching Nebraska play Nevada last week.
They were all over the field making plays. Steve Octavian, I don't think you've called his name today, but he jumped out on the film to me yesterday. We're watching it and making plays against Nevada all over the place. Corey McEwen, Bo Rudd, the strong, the depth, you know, the deepest part of this football team, the linebacking core. And you see the rush yards here. We mentioned this, 413, only 27 today, 2 for Wake last week, and 77 in this first half today. Boy, what a swing.
Wake Forest going to try to come up with some points here at the end of the half. They fake the end around this time, and Hodges almost picked off. There's Octavian. First time we called his name, almost had an interception. Looked like Hodges could have run, had some daylight, but threw it.
He ran one that I thought he should have thrown the football to Zach Selman, and here he's clearly got real estate in front of him. You'll see here, nice little fake inside, and there's nobody in front of him. You see the defensive back turn to run there, and it was Andre Jones. He could have run for about a first down there. There's Steve Octavian. Where's that number? Because of Tommy Frazier, the great quarterback that started Nebraska.
Steve's parents both from Haiti, and Stanley Arnew, Wake Forest starting middle linebackers, folks also from Haiti, as a penalty flag flies here on 2nd and 10.
False start, 84. Offense, 5-yard penalty.
Well,
still second
this
down.
is one now. It cuts to still 2nd down and long, and you just don't want to make a mistake trying to make a play. You're going to see, watch Andre Jones show up in your screen right about there. You see the defensive back's got his back turned to you. You can run, just take the sideline, pick up about 5 yards, and come back on 2nd down. But there he tries to force one back inside to the tight end. Almost cost him an interception.
Hodges, just a sophomore, hands off to Adams, who gets away from a couple of would-be tacklers to the 46-yard line. Well-deserved 8-yard pickup for redshirt freshman Josh Adams, battling a shoulder injury in preseason. You know, Jim Grove does not like to play a lot of true freshmen unless you're going to play 15 to 20
one all
plays.
last season.
All right, Adams redshirted last year, but getting a chance now after sitting out a year and learning. And he's showing up in this game.
And had to put Kenneth Moore at running back. I think he ran for just over 500 yards. And then all of a sudden they were tempted to play Josh Adams, though, almost taking the red shirt off him. But all of last year's recruiting class got to red shirt.
Here's a 3rd down and 7 play. Moore, and it's incomplete. He might have had a first down had he pulled it in, but the ruling is incomplete. by the line judge. So it's 4th down and 7, and Nebraska will get the ball with 1 timeout remaining.
Well, sometimes you just have to punt and play defense. You get yourself behind the down and distance marker where it was 2nd down and extremely long, and you're just hoping your quarterback doesn't try to make something happen. A young quarterback making his first start in this football game. You're playing well defensively. Punt and play defense, Dave. That's all part of the game.
And they've got a pretty good guy to put it inside the 20. Swank, All-American, that Mel Kiper thinks will be the first kicker / punter drafted. Probably could play either at the next level. He was their MVP in their ACC championship season from a year ago.
And he'll save some NFL team a roster spot.
He boots that one though too deep and out of the end zone. So 54-yard punt, but into the end zone. Nebraska will start at the 20. Coming up tonight at 6 Eastern on ESPN. It's Charlie Weiss's Fighting Irish against Joe Paterno's Nittany Lions at 6 Eastern. Then at 9:15, Virginia Tech taking on LSU. LSU behind only USC, but some would say LSU is better than the Trojans.
With Oklahoma, the Sooners closing in.
Here's the AP
right
top
there.
10.
Sooners ranked number 5. Florida right there.
It was interesting last week. Texas struggled with Arkansas State. Virginia Tech struggled with East Carolina. Took Wisconsin a while to pull away from Washington State. West Virginia today getting a game from Marshall.
Yeah.
First down at the 20. Keller with time. And going deep. And it is going to be incomplete. Keller had a ton of time to throw, and Kevin Patterson broke up the pass. It was intended for Sean Hill.
Yeah, you're going to see Sam Keller here. He's going to have Lucky that's going to work right over the center. And right there, he's wide open, nobody around him. Sam Keller forces the football down the field here. But you got to take what's given to you. The back's wide open, deep zone coverage drops. Right now, he is looks very uncomfortable playing quarterback.
That's one of the things the Nebraska coaches said. They don't want him to try to make the big play, something that he was able to do in Arizona State's offense. And there he goes to his check down and gets maybe 2 yards, and it'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Well, I keep the pressure on Sam Keller. If I'm Dean Hood, the defensive coordinator, he's getting nice push up front by just 4 defensive linemen. You can go ahead and bring a linebacker, play man-to-man, and it's 3rd down and long. That's when you want to force a quarterback to make a quick decision and then rally up and make a nice tackle. There, Dean Hood, the defensive coordinator for Wake Forest.
Nebraska trying for its first 3rd down conversion, and that is going to be it to the 32-yard line. Nate Swift on the catch. 10-6 Wake Forest, closing in on 1 minute remaining here in the second quarter. You see the timeout situation, the yellow dashes below the school names, and only 1 left for Nebraska. They had to burn a timeout as they attempted to challenge a call that was not reversed. With Andre Ware, Aaron Andrews, Dave Pasch here on a hot and steamy day in Winston-Salem. And Keller dumping it off to Lucky down the sideline and bounced out at the 46, a gain of 14. Stanley Arnew on the stop.
They went zone coverage on the 3rd down and no pressure on Keller, and was able to come up with a first down. You see him here, going to just check it down to Marlon Lucky right there. Take care of the football, get it to a playmaker, and allow him to run in space. Right now, they've got the Wake defense kind of back on its heels.
Second time in a row that Keller has dumped it off. Gone to the man out of the backfield. Keller throwing toward the sideline, and none. Good body adjustment there. Made the catch at the 45, and the clock stops as he steps out after a gain of 9.
Which kind of funny. We were talking about this game before it came off, and I said 70 times they run the football last week. Watch them come out slinging today. And I'm not sure how many times Keller has thrown the football yet, but I mean, it's way more than they've run it in this football game. And right now, the onus is on his shoulders to lead this Nebraska team. 21 times he's thrown in this first half.
Make it 22 as Keller just pushes that ahead and completes it for the first down. Terrence Nunn with the catch. Keller had to shot put that ball as he was about to be sacked, but it's hard to bring him down at 6'4", 230.
Well, he's a big, strong kid, 6'4". You mentioned 230 pounds with blitzer draped on his jersey right here, trying to bring him down. Is Kerry Major, the corner, on a corner blitz. And just right there, just flick it, find a way to complete them.
Keller to the air again and again to the sideline where Hardy isn't even covered. And the clock stops as he steps out of the 35. Now it's interesting, Andre, Nebraska has a weapon that it did not have last year. Kicker Adi Kanalix, who has a booming leg. And there were times last year where Nebraska would get down here, maybe 4th down and 10 against Auburn in the Cotton Bowl, and they'd go for it because they did not
have confidence in the kicker. Yeah, and it's, you know, now Ali Kanalix has got a big leg. He can kick him. He made one from 46 yards last week. But, you know, both teams have good, superb kickers.
Keller on 2nd and 4, again to the sideline, incomplete. You know, Nebraska last year did not even attempt a field goal longer than 42 yards. And right now it'd be about a 53 to 54 yarder. But Kunalik has that kind of a leg, even though he's just a true freshman. So 3rd down and 4. There's Kunalik warming up. He's from Bosnia, grew up in Germany playing soccer.
And Kunalik, the long kicker. Henry is the short guy.
Keller on 3rd down. Purify can't pull it in. Incomplete. Purify with a 2nd drop.
Yeah, good play by Marcus Williams, a redshirt freshman. And the Stocksbridge, Georgia, right here. He gets beat on the inside by Purify on a slant route. You're going to see him right here working. Sam Keller gets it out. Guys draping all around your legs right here. Watch him break on this football right there. You see it, just tap it out. Purify, remember, this is his first game action, so it's going to take him a little while to get himself back in rhythm. But a couple of big drops and passes that actually should have been caught by Maurice Purify.
And Nebraska going for it on 4th down and 4. Keller stepping up in the pocket and throws a dart for a 1st down to the 25. Hunter T. Fatiller, gain of about 11 and a 1st down.
Well, you know, they've gone zone. 2 critical situations, a 3rd down and long and a 4th down right here. Dean Hood relies on zone coverage, and you're just going to allow some receivers that work well in zone to come up with 1st down reception.
1 timeout remaining. Keller to the end zone. Beautiful throw, and it's a touchdown for Nebraska. Sean Hill with the Nebraska score. Keller right on the money for the TD, and Nebraska goes up.
You know, sometimes all we see are the big plays down the field, but we forget why they happen. Marlon Lucky takes care of his quarterback right here. You're going to see a blitzer come in, and watch Lucky just pick him off just enough to allow Sam Keller to get this football off and down the field for a big-time throw. Look at this right here. That is blocking at its finest. The little things you have to do when you play running back is not just receiving and running. Sometimes you got to block as well.
Extra point good. So an 11-play drive, all pass plays. They go the length of the field, and a 25-yard touchdown catch by Hill from Sam Keller in his first road start as Nebraska's #1 QB. So Sean Hill, nowhere to be found on the depth chart this week.
Yeah.
With a touchdown catch, big on that drive, at a couple of big plays.
Well, we know they'd go 3 or 4 deep at tight end. They've already lined up about 7 different wide receivers for Sam Keller. So they show you a lot of different personnel changes, personnel groupings, and a lot of formations.
Short kick by Kunalik, going to bounce and go out of bounds. And this is going to give Wake Forest excellent field position. Even though you kick off from the 30, you still get it at the 35. It's not 30 yards anymore. It's 35 yards from the kickoff spot.
Well, you see the timeouts right there. That's timeouts for Wake Forest and 16 seconds to work with. So we'll see if they elect to take a shot or two here.
Again, they're going to the ball at the 35 unless Wake Forest wants them to kick again. But I don't know why you do that. Why would you make them kick again here?
Kickoff out of bounds.
Oh, I wouldn't.
5 yards will be assessed from the previous spot. They will re-kick.
I don't understand that. Why wouldn't you want the ball at the 35?
Well, if you're just trying to run the clock out, you do it this way and go into halftime. If you're going to take a shot or a couple of shots, you want the ball with as many seconds as you have, or as much time as you can get.
And you've got a great kicker who kicked 5 50-plus yard field goals last year.
A couple of first downs, and you got timeouts. Yeah, I'm one to believe that you never, ever have too many points in the first half of a ball game. You are trying to score each and every time you get it.
Now, Grove
that's
obviously
going into halftime as well.
Grove obviously not comfortable with Hodges throwing the ball, perhaps maybe too nervous about a turnover. But well, we'll see what happens here. Let's see if Canalic tries to kick it deep this time, and he will. Look at that kick. That's 75 yards. Marion to the 15 and up to about the 25-yard line.
It cost him about 4 seconds.
And they lose 10 yards.
And 10 yards, exactly right. So now you just go down, kneel it down, and go into halftime.
Well, Sam Keller looked pretty good on that last drive.
He looked sharp. I mean, he hit a couple of plays, and I thought Dean Moore should have blitzed him more. You know, to bring some pressure. They did a good job of picking it up when he did. Marlon Lucky picking up the blitzer from the outside. Alfonso Smith just gets enough of him for Keller to step into that throw and the touchdown pass to Sean Hill.
Hodges takes a knee. That will end the first half. Keller was 8 of 11 passing, 80 yards on that drive, including the touchdown pass to Hill, as Nebraska takes a 3-point lead into the locker room. Check in with Aaron Andrews, who's standing by with the coach.
Well, Coach, what was the biggest difference for Sam Keller there in that last drive?
Oh, I think he got his rhythm, and he found holes in the coverage, and I thought he exploited it well. The protection held up. Everything was in sync.
How was he able to finally get that rhythm back?
I think it's just a matter of keep calling plays and seeing the field and knowing and understanding the coverage. I thought he came out of the first half with a lot of confidence. So we'll see what happens in the second half here.
All right, thank you. Dave.
All right, only 5 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance. Bill Callahan trying to keep this team unbeaten before it plays USC on Saturday night on ABC next Saturday. 13-10, they lead Wake Forest. Now Reese, Lou, and Mark, Pontiac Performance halftime report. Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Cars.com. Here in Winston-Salem, Wake Forest and Nebraska. Wake Forest playing its home opener after losing at Boston College last week. Bill Callahan's Cornhuskers leading Wake Forest by 3. Dave Pasch, Andre Ware, and Aaron Andrews. Andre, we started off the telecast by talking about your hardware, which is the physical side of the game, and then software, the mental aspect of college football. What's your hardware?
Well, 7 or 8 offensive linemen have played in this game for Nebraska. 2 running backs, as many as 4 tight ends, and 7 or 8 offensive linemen shuffling in and out. But the 4th tight end, Sean Hill, comes up with a big touchdown reception in that first half. So a guy that we couldn't even find on the depth chart. So they are mixing personnel and putting a lot of different personnel groupings in the game.
All right, what about software?
Well, software is would this Wake Forest offense be able to rally around Brett Hodges? And I think so. So far, 6 of 13 for 99 yards in the first half of this ball game. He kind of settled himself in after the interception and the first drive. So he's got to calm himself down. He's played a pretty good football game so far.
Hodges replacing the injured Riley Skinner, the ACC Rookie of the Year, who was hurt last week in the loss at Boston College. Hodges going into last year's actually ahead of Skinner, who was number 3 in the depth chart, but ended up leading Wake Forest to an ACC title and a school record 11 wins for the National Coach of the Year, Jim Grove. Wake Forest will receive the opening kickoff here in the second half. It'll be Kenny Moore taking it out. And Moore grabbed at the 12-yard line and spilled. Poor field position to start this drive as Ricky Tenarce makes the tackle on special teams for Nebraska. Aaron Andrews.
Dave, I had a chance to speak with Wake head coach Jim Grove coming out of the half, and he told me it's time for his defense to turn it up. He felt the drive that Nebraska scored on. He said, we just simply did not pressure Sam Keller. We need to do that now. As for his own quarterback, he said Brett Hodges now has a half under his belt, and what we need for him is better decision-making here in the second half. Dave?
Well, he hit the nail on the head with the pressure. I think that's when they went to zone. Whenever they were in man-to-man and got a little pressure on Sam Keller, he was throwing high, throwing wide. They went to zone, and all of a sudden he was just playing catch with his receivers on that final drive.
Pump fake and a running play to Andrews on 1st and 10. Into the secondary, and to the 21. Larry Asante made the tackle 8 yards downfield. Kevin Marion in the first half was open deep twice. This one he dropped, but in the second quarter, he pulled it in for a 61-yard gain.
Yeah, same exact play, kind of waited that one out. Just goes out about the 1-yard line. You see Raleigh Skinner right there cheering his offensive unit on. Boy, it is tough to come back and make that same exact throw if you're a quarterback rolling to your left.
Andrews on second down, grabbed by Sue, and he did not get the first down. Going to come up a yard shy. Now Nebraska, as Andre said, used a lot of different combinations. I think they used 15 tight ends, and let's look at their numbers from the first half. Struggled to run the ball.
Yeah, they really struggled last week, put up over 400 yards on the ground, only 27 on the ground here. Wake Forest, only 2 last week, and they rushed for 84, and they actually threw the football 60 times last week in their loss to Boston College. So kind of a reversal of roles, so to speak, for these two teams offensively.
When Jim Grove was at Ohio, they ran the ball every down in one game against Akron. On third down, a pass that's caught out of the backfield, and it's a Wake Forest first down. D'Angelo Bryant, backup fullback, picks up the first down out around the 35-yard line.
Boy, good job by the quarterback, Brett Hodges, of processing things and then getting it to the receiver in stride. You'll see him here, watch the eyes, looking down the field, nice play fake, and a nice ball thrown right in front of the big fullback, D'Angelo Bryant, allowing him to catch the football on the run and get his shoulders turned up the field.
A good start for Hodges.
Absolutely.
You see the stats at the top of the screen. First catch of the day for Bryant. Hodges of 7 of 14, and a running play. Andrews. Asante tried to block tackle and did not come up with a stop. Ends up being a gain of about 5 on the play.
Well, if you're wondering about this Wake Forest offense, it's kind of a spread type offense with zone principles in it, with a lot of misdirection. So you'll see them roll one way, come back the other way with a handoff underneath, or an end around when the quarterback's rolling one direction and giving to a receiver coming back the other. They get you flowing one way, and then they hit you coming back the other.
Back to Andrews, to midfield and into Nebraska territory. Asante with the tackle, but a huge hole up the middle for Micah Andrews.
Well, I'll tell you what, that one is just right down the middle of the field. Right here, you're going to see a nice running lane right there as he cuts it back right up the formation. And now I'm one-on-one with a strong safety deep into the secondary on the third level of the defense. Good job up front by that offensive line for Wake Forest.
16-yard gain. You see 112 yards for Wake Forest on the ground now. Preseason All-America, first-team All-ACC center Steve Justice led the way with a block of the linebacker McEwen. And here goes Moore inside the 20-yard line. Moore to the 10. Another big run for Wake Forest, and it's a first down at the 10-yard line.
You know, the thing you're going to see is just a body on a body and getting into the defenders, engaging. Just right here, you're going to see him come around in motion and watch the bodies when they kind of lock up right there. You see a body on a body, and he makes the cut right there. That's his first one. Getting down the field, you see him right here. All you got to do in the open field is just get a piece of the defender, which the ball carrier reads you, turns it up and inside, and you are off to the races.
38-yard run, first down and goal from the 9. Hodges hands for Andrews. And he gets belted at the 6-yard line.
Boy, you made a good point after the kickoff, and the return by Kenneth Moore didn't get a whole lot of yardage. Wake Forest starts this drive deep in their own territory, but I'll tell you what, Dave, a couple of big plays, a couple of big runs, a nice third down toss from Brett Hodges to D'Angelo Bryant, and then they got themselves some breathing room, and then a few big plays, and now all of a sudden they are down here inside the 10-yard line of Nebraska and threatening to take the lead in this football game.
Kevin Dixon shaken up, walked off, and now on the field is Tier Green being looked at by the Nebraska training staff.
Kevin Green, a junior, 6'3", transfer from Garden City Community College, had an interception last week. He wasn't there during the spring, but you know, he's made some tremendous progress.
Back in a moment. Nebraska in trouble here, backed up. A look at Joel Coliseum, where the Wake Forest basketball team will start the 2007-2008 season soon without their head coach Skip Prosser, who passed away at the age of 56. On July 26th, he'd been jogging, went back to his office, and a member of his staff found him unresponsive. About 12:45 p.m., he later passed at the age of 56. Prosser, the only coach to take 3 teams to the NCAA tournament in his first year. Loyola Maryland, Xavier, and then Wake Forest. And we talked with Jim Grobe yesterday. He and Coach, very good friends.
Very close, and it says he misses his friend. They were 2 coaches that really bounced ideas. One, both coaching different sports, of course, but they bounced a lot of different ideas about how to handle college kids and off one another. This is his buddy.
It's unusual sometimes where you have the head football and the head basketball coach have such a great relationship, but Prosser would be in Grobe's office after every game talking football and supporting his friend. So Wake Forest after the touchdown to kick off. Here's Grigsby, who had to leave in the first half because of an ankle injury, but back out there on the kick return. And he gets leveled at the 25-yard line. Aaron Andrews is down on the field, standing by with a special guest.
Certainly am. He just got a standing O from a lot of the students here. Chris Paul, of course, one of the big players here, and obviously you play in New Orleans with the Hornets. We were just talking about Skip Prosser on the air, and you said that's your guy. How are you dealing with his loss?
I'm not sure. To tell you the truth, Coach isn't gone to me. That was my main man. He would have did anything for me, and the same for him. And we just try to help him live on as much as possible.
I know you're very close with the team. You still have a house here. What have you done to try to help them grieve?
Man, these guys are still my friends. Winston-Salem is my home first and foremost, and I still go play basketball with the guys. They come over to my house. We watched the football game last week, so they help me out and I help them at the same time.
Of course, you're buddies with a lot of the football players as well. You do a lot of community service here in Winston-Salem. You got a big event coming up next weekend, Habitat for Humanity, for your foundation. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, next weekend I have a Chris Paul Winston-Salem weekend, and it gives a lot of my friends an opportunity to see where I'm from. And Friday we had a Habitat house built, and Saturday night we have a celebrity bowling event. And Sunday we cap it off with a church service. So it gives guys that I think all of my team is coming in. Then we have guys like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Joe Johnson, great guys that come in.
Do we get an invite? What are you talking about?
Of course.
Now, come on.
Always please.
So nice to see you. Good luck with your NBA season, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Aaron, so a pass play downfield, then a run by Keller. Second down coming up. Well, Jay Billis is here watching the game with his son today, and Jay said it best when in college basketball, Skip Prosser.
And you kind of feel the same way about Jim Grobe, and you get that feeling that how much he cares about the players on this team.
Pass way over the head of Purify, incomplete. And that's it. When talking with Grobe and Prosser, very much the same way. He did it for the kids. And you look at Grobe's staff, and he's got almost everybody still on his staff that came over from Ohio with him, and that's because they like to work for Coach Grobe.
Yeah, talking to Steve and Labatsky, the offensive coordinator, he said, it's easy to go to work for a guy that that he cares about the kids and their well-being, and his #1 job is to make sure that they leave better human beings and better men when they leave the Wake Forest program. And I'll tell you what, it's very refreshing to sit down and have that type of conversation with a college football coach.
Here's Keller on 3rd down and 5, delivers a strike, but none took a shot right at the point at which he caught it at the 34-yard line. Alfonso Smith with the hit.
Boy, it's a very kind spot by the line judge. And it's going to be 4th down, but Nebraska, I got to think that they're going to go for it here. It's, it is very, very close.
I think you're right on the spot. Looked a little generous.
Yeah, it was very generous. You're going to see it right here. Sam Keller kind of processing the information, gets it out quick, steps up nicely in the pocket, but right there, he gets hit. And right about there is where I had it. And it's going to be a little bit short of a 1st down. We're going to bring the markers out now and take a closer look at it.
And there was no way the ball was at the 34-yard line.
No way.
It
wasn't even across the 35 once he was hit. But a very, very kind, generous spot for Nebraska. Just short.
Yep, as you called it, still short, so 4th down. What do you do?
Well, if you're Nebraska, you got to go for it. You got 7 or 8 offensive linemen that you've rolled in there, a few fresh ones, and so you get behind a guy like Carl Nix or Landon Murtha and try to get you some push. Nebraska's play selection, the last 16 plays have been 15 passes, only 1 run. So a total reversal from last week.
Yeah, when they ran for over 400 yards, the most in the Bill Callahan era. They're 1 for 1 on 4th down, pretty bad on 3rd down, so maybe it's a good thing they're going for it.
This is when it becomes a game of leverage right here.
Keller will hang for Lucky. He's got the first down to the 31-yard line. Chip Vaughn on the tackle. Let's go back now to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, guys, every week we honor the AT&T All-America Player of the Week, and you can get in on the voting. All you have to do is text the word VOTE to 87654 on your AT&T wireless phone. You can access the nominees and cast your vote. And every time you do that, who knows, you might be able to win a trip to the national championship game in January.
All right, Reese, well, the player of the week nationally was Marlon Lucky last week, and he just picked up the first down there on 4th and 1. Now Keller back to the air, the pump, and the throw to the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Todd Peterson.
Well, he had Todd Peterson wide open. He just tried to gun it a little bit too far. And if he puts just a little bit of air on this and throws it right to the back cone, you'll see it right here. A nice little play fake to Marlon Lucky, who picked up the first down, and a play fake right here. Little pump. Right there, just a little bit more air under the football. Give the receiver more of a chance to come down with it. A little bit too much mustard on that one.
Kerry Major, a first-year starter, got picked on last week by Boston College's Matt Ryan. Here's Purify, and he gets wailed at the 23-yard line, but just bounces off of him. And 225 pounds, Stanley Arnew had the big hit.
When we talk about the nation's leader, Marlon Lucky came into this game with 233 yards on the ground. He's got only 33 for this game. 2 players from Wake Forest have outrushed him. The receiver, actually, Kenneth Moore has more yards, 68 yards, and then Andrews with 49. So it's been Wake Forest on the ground that's shown the dominance.
Another 3rd down and short. It'll be Lucky for the first down and for the touchdown.
Well, he responded, didn't he? Sometimes you get squeezed in there so many times, bodies all over the centers and the guards, and you just stretch it out just a little bit and allow a guy like Marlon Lucky to make a move. He finds a nice little soft spot, and all of a sudden it's a race for the end zone.
Parade All-American in high school with a 22-yard touchdown run. Lost his starting job to Brandon Jackson, who, by the way, is starting for the Green Bay Packers this week. That was last year, and Lucky had some issues, as he said, suffered a little bit with some depression, hospitalized for a few days in February with an undisclosed illness. But is he having a great start to the 2007 season or what? 4 TDs last week, 1 this week. Nebraska back up.
You already know the #1 place to shop and save is Nebraska Furniture Mart. Now shop the Mart's top 100 hottest values. Number 37, Armoire with felt line drawers, stylish, affordable storage, now only $2.99. And number 45, in-stock Stainmaster Ultralight Frisé carpet for only $176 a square foot. Like number 52, a Frigidaire extra capacity washer and dryer, originally $519, now only $398. Number 75, Gateway notebook for $7.99 plus $150 reward card. See the ad and find your #1 hottest value at Nebraska Furniture Mart.
4 lead changes in the last 12 minutes. Nebraska back up 3 at Wake Forest. And a drive that had a 4th down conversion on it. 8-play, 74-yard drive. Took just 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Marlon Lucky with a 22-yard touchdown run. Kunalik to boot it away. Moore and Marion back for Wake Forest. And Kunalik, how about that, kicking it out of the end zone from the 30.
And even give the team a chance to get a return.
Let's look at the touchdown again, our Dell playbook, Andre.
Yeah, take a look here on the last touchdown run by Marlon Lucky. You're going to see some nice blocks set up front. The fullback, Andy Sand, getting out in front. He's just going to start a nice little stretch play here. You see all the bodies inside the box. Right here, you see Andy Sand kick out, and then now there's a nice little lane for Marlon Lucky to kind of get through. And you see him right there. Turn the shoulder, square him up, and now it's just a foot race to the end zone.
3 rushing touchdowns last week and a receiving touchdown, and his score here puts Nebraska back on top. Here's Ken Moore at a big run last drive, and there he goes again. Moore finally tackled from behind in Nebraska territory by Barry Turner.
Boy, I'll tell you what, this play goes because Kevin Marion comes back down and inside and throws a nice block for Kenneth Moore. Watch this receiver right here as he comes back down inside, picks one off. Now you got plenty of room and space, and you get a playmaker out in the open field. It's just a foot race, making moves, secure the football. Bad field position. Now all of a sudden you're working with some nice yardage right here for Wake Forest.
34-yard run, and you made the comment in the first half, Wake Forest being very physical with Nebraska running against them. Kevin Harris, and this time nothing. Steve Octavian makes the stick. No gain on the play. Let's check in with Reese back in the studio.
All right, David, Ohio State's had trouble finding the end zone and kicked a couple of field goals, up 6-2 on Akron when the freshman Brandon Sane takes a little short pass from Beckman and scores the touchdown. Buckeyes seemingly in control, up 13-2 now. And West Virginia's put things away in Huntington, up by 25 on Marshall.
Well, slow starts for Ohio State and West Virginia, but they seem to have things in hand now.
And we were saying in the first half, you can't say anymore, oh, they'll get it going in the second half after last week with Appalachian State winning at Michigan. Loss of one, and they pump to the left, and then the handoff to Harris, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. So got a yard. Bo Rude on the tackle. It'll bring up 3rd and long.
They're just trying to run to keep Nebraska honest, but I think, you know, once you spread them out and get them out in space and make them play you, they're trying to just play base defense, 4-3, keeping linebackers in, and it's to the advantage of this Wake Forest football team. You know, if you can keep those slot receivers matched up against linebackers, you certainly have that to your advantage. Go back to it. Get a guy like Kenneth Moore out in space matched up on Bo Root.
You saw the rushing yards there. I'm shocked by that. 192 for Wake Forest, 58 for Nebraska after over 400 last week.
Yeah, showing blitz.
Caught by Marion at the 40-yard line. Not going to get the first down, but a decision here for Wake Forest. They've got a field goal kicker, and he's also the punter that can either pin you deep or make it.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing I thought Wake Forest and the defense coordinator Dean Hood had going for them, is to force the quarterback to make a quick decision, come up, make a nice tackle. But they decided to go zone on 3rd down and allowed Sam Keller to hit some big plays on the final drive of the first half. Nebraska comes with a blitz, makes Brett Hodges make a quick decision. There comes up, make a tackle, make him punt on 4th down.
Swank will try to pin Nebraska deep. Last one he booted into the end zone, and he does it again. So Nebraska will start at the 20-yard line. Monday Night Football returns to ESPN. It kicks off with a doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, Baltimore and Cincinnati, followed by Arizona and San Francisco. Don't miss the return of Monday Night Football on ESPN this Monday. 2 former Heisman Trophy winners, Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart, both on display, Andre.
Yeah, and some pretty good football players there. The Ravens defense against Carson Palmer, and you see Leinart and Palmer there with 4,000 yards last season. Kind of excited about the start of this year, wanting to get back into the playoffs.
A USC fan here scouting because USC will play Nebraska next Saturday on ABC. There's a dump off to T. Fatiller, and he's past the 25 and out to the 28. Got about 8 yards that time before Majette made the stop for Wake Forest.
Hunter T. Fatiller was a walk-on back in 05. Last year, 4 touchdown receptions. And they used the tight ends in this offense. They accounted for 10 touchdown receptions last season. Sean Hill caught one in the first half, and then right there going back to Hunter T. Fatiller.
And a gain of 8. Bill Callahan, we're talking about NFL. He was the head coach of the Raiders, led them to a Super Bowl before getting let go. How about, speaking of being let go, Castile let go by the Wake Forest defense, and the 240-pounder takes it out near midfield, dragging would-be tacklers with him.
Well, we asked the coaches about Quentin Castile. They just described him as a magical talent. Big-time running back, 6'1", 245 out of LaPorte, Texas. Gets nice push, and right here, this is all athletic ability and determination right there. 3 or 4 Wake Forest defenders around him, but unable to bring him down for about another 10 yards.
Castile again. It takes about 3 or 4 guys to get him down. Stanley Arnew with the initial hit for Wake Forest, and John Russell also in on the stop. ACC against the Big 12. This is Nebraska's first ever road game in ACC country, and the 16th ranked team in the country with USC on deck next weekend, leading at Wake Forest by 3 with Andre Ware, Aaron Andrews on Dave Pash. Nebraska going back to the run on this drive, Andre.
Yeah, this is where they made their living last week. 70 rushes in that football game against Nevada.
Play fake this time, and Keller has a wide open man, but it's dropped. J.B. Phillips had a first down and then some, but he couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, J.B. Phillips is known as the better blocker of these tight ends. You get him out in space, thrown a little bit behind him, which makes it a tough catch for a guy that's not used to catching it on the run. He's a zone type tight end where you sit down, and he was moving there. You throw it behind him, can't quite make the adjustments to come up with that reception.
Look at the difference there. Rushing yards 78 to 234. And now they're in a passing situation here with 3rd down and 8.
They should have learned a lesson. Bring some pressure.
And Keller gets hit that time. And the arm going forward, that's an incompletion. Jeremy Thompson put pressure on him. 4th down, Nebraska.
Yeah, John Russell was in there as well. And I'll tell you, that's kind of the remedy for this Wake Forest defense. When you put some pressure on Sam Keller, you'll see it here. You'll get some pressure from the outside, stepping up, and not a whole lot of room to step into that throw. Just make it a little bit uncomfortable, and that's where Wake defensively has had some success against Sam Keller.
That's about the only time they've had success against him today, right?
They've kind of gotten themselves into a must-score here early in this ball game. Nebraska was moving it down, and you don't want to play scores with them once you get down by 2. So that was a big stop on 3rd down.
Titchener booting it away, and fair caught by Moore at the 10-yard line. Well, we talked earlier about the death of Skip Prosser. His replacement is Dino Gaudio, and he is with Aaron.
He certainly is. And Coach, how have you and your team tried to return to normalcy since the passing of Coach Prosser?
It's been difficult, but I think kids are pretty flexible. They adjust rather quickly, and I think what's really helped us, we've all had each other, and each other's given kids support and us support, and we've gotten through it pretty well.
And that recruiting class that many say was the top recruiting class that Skip and yourself worked to get. I'd heard that all those recruits have stayed. How did you manage to convince them that everything would be okay?
They come from great families. I got to be careful what I say NCAA rule-wise. I don't want to throw me an NCAA joke.
But they give you an exception.
They've been incredible. The future for this program is very, very bright, Aaron.
And I know you were with Skip for 26 years. You said best man in the wedding. He baptized your son. What's the one thing you'll take from him and use forever?
He was a very special person in that he treated everybody the same. He was a man of dignity and great character. And when his passing, it was felt not only in this little community of Wake Forest, but around the entire country. And he touched a lot of people's lives, and that's what I'm going to try to do as well.
Thanks so much for visiting with us.
Thank you, Aaron.
Dave.
You talk about a small community. This is the smallest enrollment for any BCS school, just over 4,000 kids. This is a Wake Forest community here in Winston-Salem. Kevin Harris on the inside run. To the 14-yard line for 3. Kevin Dixon made the hit. 3rd down coming up for Wake.
Well, with Brett Hodges, a young quarterback in there, trying to take care of the football. Some bad field position here. They've had some success on the edges, getting themselves out of bad field position with some big runs with Kenneth Moore. They try to do it now with Kevin Harris, moving the football, get yourself set up. And a 3rd down and medium type situation, 3rd and 6, where you still have the entire playbook at your disposal.
Wake Forest pretty good on 3rd down so far. 6 out of 13. Miss a 3rd and 6. And Nebraska going to call timeout.
And they just look totally confused. Big defensive lineman in there. Bunch of guys, Barry Turner calling the timeout, but not really knowing where they wanted to line up.
So while we have a moment, let's go back to the studio and check in with Reese.
All right, Dave, Taco Bell studio update. Check in on Miami and Oklahoma again. And tell you, I think this Sam Bradford might have a little something at quarterback. He's got a wide open Jermaine Gresham for the touchdown. Boomer Sooner on top by 15.
Well, Sam Bradford, impressive. He is throwing it around the park, and we mentioned it earlier. We know Oklahoma can run the football. Now you got a guy that can stand in the pocket and complete passes down the field, makes play action that much more dangerous. I tell you, Oklahoma, look out when you talk about a national champion.
You think so? You think?
No, I think they've got all the ingredients to have a special season this year.
We'll see another team many think will compete for a national title. LSU tonight taking on Virginia Tech. And with the way things look in the Big Ten, who knows? Penn State playing Notre Dame. Penn State, the way it's looked early in the year, a contender perhaps in the Big Ten this year?
Big time contender.
3rd down and 6. Wake Forest, which won the ACC last year, trying to be a contender this year. Lost at Boston College last week, looking for its first win of 07. It's an inside run to Harris on 3rd down, no way. Maybe 2 yards there. Philip Dillard on the stop, and Wake Forest taking no chances down there. We'll have to punt it away.
You're asking why. Why run that play? Just going to take care of the football, not make a mistake, punt and play defense. The defensive unit has been holding Nebraska, or held them the last possession. So punt, get back, play some great defense, and maybe get yourself some better field position.
And that is key here as Swang boots it away, and not really a good kick for an All-American there. Fair caught at the 48. Nebraska will have excellent starting field position as we go back to Reese.
All right, Dave, check in right now on things going on in the family of networks. North Carolina State and Boston College. The O'Brien Bowl is underway over on ESPN2. And on ABC, Kyle Wright in Miami continuing to struggle against that Oklahoma defense. Randy Shannon's team is down 28-13 about halfway through the 3rd.
All right, Reese and Andre, you and I watched Boston College's game last week against Wake Forest. Tell me about Matt Ryan, who had 5 TD passes last week.
Very impressed with Matt Ryan. He can make all the throws. He just kind of looks the part and plays it as well. So one of the better quarterbacks in the entire country right there at Boston College.
One of the better running backs in the Big 12 is Marlon Lucky, but nowhere to run. Anthony Davis with the tackle in the backfield. You have to think Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in the ACC. Boston College with a win last week against Wake. And Tom O'Brien now at NC State playing on ESPN2. Who knows? Boston College could be undefeated going into that game on the 25th against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they start the season with 3 ACC games right there. Wake Forest last week, North Carolina State, and then Georgia Tech, and then they get Army, UMass right there mixed in. So that's a tough start when you start with 3 conference games.
And then you have 4 in a row out of conference. Here's Keller, and that pass is picked off. What an interception! Kerry Major stepped in front and picked it off.
Well, once again, it's man-to-man defense and pressure on Sam Keller, and that's going to be the ingredient to get to him. You'll see it right here. They get pressured by the linebacker up the middle of the formation, forcing him to get rid of the football fast. And he gets a nice jump, Kerry Major, on the football. You see him right here, not respecting the speed of Nate Swift. And right there, nice break on the football, catching it out in front with the hands. Who said defensive backs couldn't catch? They're just receivers that like to hit.
And you said that, if you're going to jump that, you got to pick it off. He tried that last week and got beat for a touchdown, but not that time. He made the interception as Keller turns it over. First down for Wake Forest. And nice adjustment by Adams, and the catch is made at the 47-yard line for a gain of 3.
Boy, this ball was thrown with some nice touch, waiting for him to clear the linebacker on the outside. And nice little touch over the top there from Brett Hodges. You'll see him here, eyes down the field. You get the runner right there, the running back out and around. Nice job of getting the foot down. Wake Forest on the move.
And on the end around, Moore pretty close to the first down, knocked out by Eisenhart, about a yard shy of the first down marker.
Boy, if I'm Nebraska and I'm Bill Callahan, I'm getting a little bit worried. They're out, they're being physical, a little more physical than my football team, as well as they have added the speed element to this. Now they just look a little bit faster. Some concern right now for Nebraska.
And some quicker tempo, getting in and out of the huddle. They try to run on 3rd down and 1, and pushing the pile is Josh Adams, and he got the first down to the Nebraska 45-yard line.
Well, right here, you mentioned it, getting some quick tempo, get in and out of the huddle. Right now, Wake Forest trying to get some rhythm, not going into a huddle at the line of scrimmage in no hurry, but just trying to line up at the line of scrimmage. They've got Nebraska in a look defensively that they like them in. So far, as a wide receiver out rushing this Nebraska football team.
Hodges in trouble, gets away from one defender and then sacked at the 49-yard line by Kevin Dixon.
Well, that's one, a young quarterback. Get rid of the football. You're going to dodge one guy with Kevin Dixon. Now it's getting crowded in there. You're outside the tackle box. Sail that baby into the stands.
Dixon had an interception last week against Nevada, a junior. And Nebraska lost all 4 starting defensive linemen from a year ago, but these guys this year playing pretty well. Here's Moore with a reception inside the 40 and to the 37, got 11 yards. And when we start the 4th quarter, it'll be a 3rd down and short for Wake Forest. Brett Hodges into the injured Riley Skinner, and Wake Forest home opener, trying to lead his team to its first victory in 2007. They trail as we go to the 4th quarter in Winston-Salem. This telecast available on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. Home opener for Wake Forest. The defending ACC champs looking for their first win of the season. A big 3rd down and 3. And they hand it off to Moore, horse-collared, which is legal in college. Octavian with a stop. And Andre, that's the first time that play hasn't worked in the second half.
I'm surprised that's the first time we've called Steve Octavian's name in this game, because he just jumps off the film in that Nevada game last year. He is a speed linebacker. They like to blitz him a lot, but you're going to see him run down Kenneth Moore right here from behind. You see him out in front making a nice play, grabbing him around the shoulder pads, but able to get him down, and they kind of went to the well one too many times.
And they were kind of in Swank's field goal range. I mean, 55 yards. The guy's made 7 out of 9 from 50 plus in his career. But Wake Forest will punt here, down 3 early in the 4th. Trying to draw Nebraska offside.
Well, not a bad thing, because you got a guy like Swank who can nail it down there anyway. 5 yards won't hurt you.
Full start, 59. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Play 4th down.
See, this is a way to get it. You know, I talk about when a team takes a delay of game penalty. You know, sometimes if you're the defense, you want them to. You don't want to go ahead and surrender it, because you know they're just trying to get some room. Well, you go ahead and have a guy jump a little bit, flinch, then they take the motion penalty, and then you get what you want.
Swank kicked it into the end zone last time, but 2 Nebraska players collide and didn't have to field it there. But Anthony Blue decided to anyway. And lucky for Nebraska, Blue comes up with the ball. I mean, it was not touched by a Nebraska player. Sam Keller with a touchdown pass in the first half. And remember him at Arizona State against Purdue in the Sun Bowl, starting in place of the injured Andrew Walter. A school record 25 bowl completions, 397 yards of total offense as Arizona State beat Purdue.
370 yards passing in your first go at it. Pretty impressive today. 234. You saw the interception on the last possession. But he is backed up here. A hungry Wake Forest defense.
Replaced by Rudy Carpenter at Arizona State, transferring for his final year to Nebraska, as that pass is caught out to the 25-yard line to Maurice Purify, making his 2007 debut after being suspended last week for some off-the-field incidents this summer.
And Jeremy Thompson gets through even on a 3-step drop and gets his hands on Sam Keller, able to complete it. And I'll tell you, this is where you like to go up top. Take a shot down the field, 2nd and 1. You got Marlon Lucky, maybe some play action, Purify out here at the top of your screen. Go at him.
Instead, they'll stay conventional as Lucky gets planted, but appears to have the first down to the 27-yard line. Tackled by Hunter Haynes. Let's go back to Reese now.
Dave, North Carolina State and Boston College at Tom O'Brien Bowl. Former Nebraska quarterback Harrison Beck threw an interception for NC State on the first drive, and then Matt Ryan threw a touchdown pass to Kevin Challenger, who made a spectacular effort to get in. Ryan, 6 touchdown passes on the season already. 7-0 BC. It's on ESPN2.
And Matt Ryan picking up where he left off last week against Wake Forest. 5 touchdown passes a week ago, already early, won in that game.
And Tom O'Brien's return to Chestnut Hill. NC State losing at home to Central Florida last week. Keller finds Swift out on the flat, ahead to the 34-yard line for about 7. Andre, you were talking about Matt Ryan. He is in now your top 5 in terms of college quarterbacks.
Yeah, he kind of jumped in, took the place of Chad Henne after a loss to Appalachian State. You see Matt Ryan kind of sneaking in right there at the bottom. Still Andre Woodson. Brian Brom had an excellent night the other night. Cole Brennan, over 400 yards in last week's game for Cole Brennan.
Not a lot of people know about Andre Woodson, but if you saw him in the bowl game against Clemson last year,
yeah, he can play.
About a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is pretty good at any school, especially at a school like Kentucky, which has just struggled for so long. Keller trying to get him set as the play clock winds down. And a penalty marker.
That's a tough position to be in, and they don't really want Keller making a lot of changes last week. They just ask him to manage the offense. Don't try to get too sophisticated. There, the play clock runs down on him.
5-yard penalty, still second down.
And this is a big break for Wake Forest. You can really get aggressive here, 2nd down and long, and there it is again. The rushing yards for both teams, only 2 yards rushing for Wake Forest, 2:01 today. That's a big turnaround.
And Nebraska's only run it 19 times today. Last week they rushed it 70 times. Here's run number 20 to Lucky, and the hole not there as he's upended by Alfonso Smith at the 31-yard line. And a key 3rd down coming up for Nebraska's offense.
Now let's see what Wake Forest will do here defensively. They tried the zone when they leave Sam Keller back there to throw it with no pressure, and it's killed them. It killed them in the final drive of the first half. See if they do it here, or if they get aggressive and go man-to-man with a little pressure where they've had most of their success.
And that's a big reason why they're 2 for 11. They're getting pressure on Keller, and he has not looked comfortable when pressured. 3rd down and a long 5.
Looks like they're going to go zone here.
Keller has time, but the pass overthrown, incomplete, intended for France Hardy. Marcus Williams with coverage, and Nebraska will punt it away.
Well, they bring one linebacker to get a 5th guy or 5th pass rusher, but it was Jeremy Thompson who got tremendous pass rush and got in the face of Sam Keller, made him throw it a little bit early, and now Wake Forest going to have some pretty good field position to start this drive here in the 4th quarter.
Is that off his back foot too?
Oh yeah, you got to figure out a way to get it out of there, whether it's on the back foot, front foot, side of your feet.
On your head.
Get the ball out.
Titchener pulling it to the dangerous Kenny Moore, who waits for it at the 30-yard line.
Good punt.
Moore from the 25. And he can't make the first guy miss. Ricky Tenars, who's had a couple of tackles on special teams, takes him down at the 24-yard line. Wake Forest in search of its first win of the 2007 season, down 3, but with the ball in the 4th. Back in Winston-Salem, Nebraska by 3, and let's check in with Aaron Andrews.
Well, Dave, Nebraska's secondary banged up pretty good here. Senior safety Tier Green done today with a neck stinger. Yes, he is a cousin of Amon Green. And of course, we talked about Courtney Grigsby, corner, senior corner. He's got an ankle injury.
Yeah, we'll see how their secondary plays here, as Hodges was looking to pass, but everybody was covered, so they did their job, and Hodges takes off and gets about 7 or 8 yards.
Well, there's that little bootleg that they run, and all it takes is just a threat of the pass, and the linebackers have to kind of acknowledge it, and you get yourself outside of containment, just tuck it up and run. He had it earlier in the game, tried to go back inside, almost threw an interception there, taking care of the football, and an easy 7 yards.
For those of you just joining us, Hodges not the normal starting quarterback, but started today because of a shoulder injury suffered last week by Riley Skinner, the ACC Rookie of the Year in 2006. Hodges, and what a one-handed grab by Moore, and he's going to be very close to the first down marker at the 37-yard line. Boy, Kenny Moore
is showing a little jelly.
Man, the last 2 games he's been fantastic.
Boy, one hand right here. Climb the ladder and then go get it with one hand. A good job there by Cody. Brett, not trying to do too much with it. Just get it out to Kenneth Moore any way you possibly can. They had a nice little screen set up for him, but that was all Kenneth Moore. Once the timing was disrupted, now you just turn into a football player.
There's Riley Skinner watching Kenneth Moore, who had over 100 yards receiving last week. He's got over 100 yards rushing this game. Here's Josh Adams just powering through Ben Eisenhart. Nebraska walk-on safety for about 7 yards.
A little guy trying to show some power. Take him on. Let's be physical. You want to play? Strap up that chin strap.
Well, since Jim Grobe took over, there is a noticeable difference in the talent level and the depth here at Wake Forest.
Well, he does it too as well. You get those older players in there when you can redshirt them, allow them to grow for that extra year. Then by the time they're junior and senior year, they are mature young men, and it allows Wake Forest to stay on the field with a lot of opponents.
Back to the ground, and Adams close to the first down marker, down by Dillard.
Well, Josh Adams, he only goes about 6 foot, about 180 pounds, so you would think he's a speed back, but just taking on people in the hole. And there, Kenneth Moore, he's done a lot. He had 15 receptions last week, but look at this number. The 104 on the ground on 7 rushes. He's done it a couple of different ways in 2 consecutive weeks. Big receptions last week against Boston College, this week against Nebraska. He's done it rushing the football.
Started out the season a year ago as a wide receiver, moved to running back because of all their injury problems at that position. And that just makes the story of Wake Forest even more amazing from last year. As you see, they're short there, so they got 3rd down coming up. But you lose your starting quarterback, your starting running back as well, yet you win the ACC.
And he rushed. Kenneth Moore rushed for over 500 yards last year and averaged 4.8 yards a carry. You see Chris Paul there representing Kenneth Moore. Got his jersey on.
And Moore has been on the sideline for the last couple of plays. 3rd down and 1 for Wake Forest. 50% on 3rd down today.
My favorite play is a quarterback sneak right here.
Instead, it's the up man, Bryant.
He got it.
Muscling his way past the marker. Philip Dillard on the tackle. Let's see where they spot it. Looks like it'll be a 1st down.
Well, you had to find a nice soft spot because they go with a nose guard, and there's, the uncovered guards. You see right there, nice little uncovered areas right here to rush the football through. They pick the one to the left, and it just kind of squeaks out just enough to pick up the 1st down.
Now that Wake offensive line done a pretty good job today against the Nebraska front 4. Granted, is young, but pretty physical.
Well, you got Moore out right there. Get him the football in space against the linebacker.
There's about a 10-yard cushion for him. And here's a reverse. And Moore through a hole, breaks a tackle at midfield, still going. Finally brought down at the 40-yard line by Asante.
Little razzmatazz right there. And it takes some precise ball handling when you're going to try it 2 times right here, coming around. Kevin Morin right there, and then right back around the other way. Kenneth Moore, and you'll see him right there. North and south, positive yards. Right now, Wake Forest on the move with a chance to at least tie this baby up. You hear the pads clicking and clacking in there, and some nice physical football being played.
1st down from the 40. Here's the play fake, and then throwing it away is Hodges.
This may be a grounding penalty here.
Should be. Yep, there it is. Penalty flag down. He was throwing it to an empty space, and he was still in the pocket.
Got to realize you got quick pressure, and you got to realize where you are. All you did was fake inside, which did not take you outside the tackle box. So this is going to be a grounding penalty on Brett Hodges.
That's a mistake that comes from inexperience, right?
A young, inexperienced quarterback. You see the fake right here, and now I'm still in the tackle box. Nobody around, but right there. Just lay it right there on your tight end and let him make a play for you. Just a nice little quick look back inside. Lay it on the tight end. You don't come up with that play. Now you're working in second and forever.
Riley Skinner out with that shoulder injury, hoping to make it back next week or 2 weeks from now against Maryland. Hodges faced with a 2nd and 19 with the ball back in midfield. 9 minutes to go. Wake Forest down 3. Here's Adams. Makes Dixon miss. And makes Asante miss. And finally bumped out of play at the 44-yard line.
Dave, I believe Adams has got to be the guy. You know, eventually he's just going to take over, and it's going to be his show at that running back position, a redshirt freshman. They were tempted to play him last year, take the red shirt off him because of all the injuries that you mentioned, and then Kenneth Moore stepped in and provided a spark in the run game. But he has looked very, very impressive. Has shown some toughness running between the tackles and some speed to get outside on the edge as well.
Impressive running plays, even when he doesn't gain a lot of yardage. He looks good doing it. This is a passing situation here. 3rd down and 14. Are you in 4-down territory here?
I don't know, but you got Moore down here at the bottom of the screen, but nobody around him.
Asante eventually comes over, and they hand it off to Adams. He's not going to get anywhere. Maybe a yard.
Oh, that penalty really, really hurt.
Corey McEwen and Clayton Severs team up to make the tackle there, and Wake Forest will punt. 8.5 to go here in the 4th. Nebraska and its first ever road trip to the ACC here at Grove Stadium, taking on a Wake Forest team looking for its first win of the season. With Andre Ware, Aaron Andrews, I'm Dave Pash. Hot and humid here in Winston-Salem. The wind, though, picking up. Let's see if it affects this punt by Swank. It kicks dead left and goes out of bounds about the 12-yard line. So Nebraska will have the ball and a 3-point lead midway through the 4th quarter here in Winston-Salem, and we come back.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by ESPN Game Plan. See the most college football every Saturday. To order, call your pay-per-view provider. ESPN Game Plan lives here.
With USC on deck, Nebraska and quarterback Sam Keller trying to take care of business on the road against Brett Hodges and Wake Forest. And it'll be a running play to Lucky on 1st down for Nebraska from its 13-yard line, and maybe 2 yards there for Lucky. Renfred on the tackle.
Yeah, here if you're Wake Forest, you know, I stay aggressive. There you get a lot of bodies around the line of scrimmage, 7, 8 guys in the box. If Nebraska wants to try to work some clock in this situation with Marlon Lucky, you got defenders there to kind of stifle the run. But you got to be aggressive in pass defense, because we know Sam Keller, if you play zone, he'll pick you apart.
A little pressure that time, and Keller lost the ball. At the 10-yard line, it popped up in the air. John Russell had his hands on it for Wake Forest. No signal yet. It's Wake Forest ball.
Well, he's just in a crowded area. As a quarterback, you got to take care of the football. If you're not going to throw it, you got to pull it down and do something with it. You're either going to run it or throw it away. Sam Keller left this football hanging in the air, and one of the defenders for Wake Forest had the presence in mind to tip it out of his hand. You see the pressure there, good pressure, and it's number 95, Zach Stoops, who gets his hands on the football. Not sure who came up with the fumble recovery, but there. Nice job of tipping that football out and then allowing for one of his teammates, number 51, John Russell, to come up with it. We're just talking about a turnover for Wake would be huge right here.
And it's ruled an interception.
They are set up point-blank range here.
Ruled an interception as it was pulled in by John Russell. And you called it. You get pressure on Keller.
Yeah.
He struggled with that today.
You put pressure on him, and he struggles because he can't process things fast enough. He's not comfortable in this offense. Remember, he's been out of football for an entire year. You want to frustrate a quarterback, keep guys coming in his face, keep pressure around him. We've seen him, when there's pressure, throw the ball high, outside, low, and away from receivers. But when you give a guy like Sam Keller time to sit in the pocket against zone, he can find those tight ends and those big receivers. Keep that pressure coming on him.
They are reviewing this. It was an interception. That's the ruling on the field.
They can look at it, any way they want. If it's an interception, they want to rule it that. That's all right. But I think it's a fumble recovery here. Regardless, his hand wasn't coming forward, so the ball comes out. Wake Forest is going to have this football around the 10-yard line.
The only difference would be if it was ruled
a fumble or an interception.
But a fumble, you can get it off the ground, where an interception, if that's what they're saying, it was a forward pass,
right,
then he's got to come down with it. But it looked like he came down with it cleanly anyway, so regardless, it should be Wake Forest ball.
Well, this is going to be huge for Wake Forest.
And that's what they did last year to win the ACC. They were 6th in the country in turnover margin at plus 13.
Now take another look at it. You see him drop here. You see the pressure by Zach Stooks. The ball comes out, and John Russell right there comes away with the football.
So the ruling on the field stands.
Here we go. Buckle up. The flight's about to take off.
First down and goal for Wake Forest on the 10-yard line.
And they've tried going right at the heart of this Nebraska defense with very little success, but some success going out on the edges.
It'll be Andrews to the 5-yard line and down to the 3. And we talked about Wake Forest forcing turnovers a year ago. 31 takeaways last year.
Plus 13 for the year. You see it right there. 05, they were -2. That led to the big turnaround in the BCS bowl game. And talking with Jim Grobe yesterday, he said that's exactly what it was in terms of our successful season last year, was forcing turnovers and not turning the ball over offensively.
Second down and goal after a gain of about 6 yards for Andrews. And this time Andrews spilled about 5 yards in the backfield by Ndamukong Suh.
Just too much power inside for this Nebraska defensive line against Wake Forest. You see him right here. Nice little, right there. 2 or 3 times we've seen Ndamukong Suh come through free, just kind of shedding blockers and getting himself through. Now Wake Forest back where they started, and it's 3rd down already.
Sam Keller obviously rooting for the defense to make a stand so he can go back out there with the game tied. 3rd down and goal.
Kenneth Moore out here. That's the playmaker.
Hodges pumps. Down to the end zone, intercepted! It's picked off by Zachary Bowman.
I thought he had more underneath. He kind of looked him off and tried to go back to the corner. They set it up for him to come underneath and try to get him the football, and then you got a young quarterback who tries to force one into the end zone. At least you want to come away with a field goal attempt.
But it's Hodges throwing a pick, tossing that into double coverage. And Jim Grobe's team, which lived off of takeaways and then capitalizing on those takeaways, allows Sam Keller to escape one there. Nebraska still by 3 with 6 minutes to go.
We're back here at Wake Forest, where the Cornhuskers lead the Demon Deacons 20-17. And right here, a big mistake on the part of Brett Hodges, throwing the ball into the end zone, trying to force a touchdown throw, and right there, the result, an interception.
Riley Skinner trying to console Hodges, who's getting the start because Skinner hurt his shoulder last week, and now Nebraska goes back to the ground game, and Lucky picks up 5.
You know, in a situation like that, looking back on it, maybe if you're Jim Grobe, you call a timeout, you got a young quarterback, and you realize at this point in the game how important getting points on that drive. You just had an emotional turnover. You got to get some points, or at least get to Sam Swank for a field goal attempt. Take care of the football if nobody's wide open.
And now Lucky dives past the 30 for the first down as Nebraska goes back to its bread and butter play. Handoffs to Marlon Lucky. Let's check in with Aaron down on the field.
Well, Dave, that was a huge interception for senior Zachary Bowman for Nebraska. And remember, he missed all of last season with not 1 but 2 knee injuries. A lot of questions for him coming into this year. Could he return with the same leaping ability and speed? Questions answered, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in a big way.
And the senior named a captain, which is great, as Lucky picks up 2. Named a captain after you did not play it down the year before.
Yeah, it's such an emotional game, this game of football, where you have the big turnover. If you're Wake Forest, you're set up at point-blank range. You're pretty much gifted 3 points in that drive. All you got to do is take care of the football. But then Nebraska force a big turnover of their own, get lucky involved in the running game. They're going to try to wear down Wake Forest on this drive, as well as chew a bunch of clock.
Wake Forest still with all of its timeouts remaining. Another running play, and this time not much for Castile, and it'll bring up third down. Let's check in with Reese.
All right, Dave told you about former Nebraska quarterback Harrison Beck throwing an interception for NC State against BC earlier, but Beck has settled down, and he finds Darrell Blackman, who is off to a spectacular start. Seems as if he's been on the Wolfpack roster for about 20 years. He got right on the doorstep. Beck scored later. Wolfpack under Tom O'Brien up 10-7 on the road.
And coming off that loss to UCF last week, BC beat Wake Forest last week. Wake down 3 to Nebraska with a 3rd down and 5 coming up. And Keller's throw on the money to Swift. It's ruled a catch at the 46-yard line and a Nebraska first down.
They got great inside position on the defender on the corner to that side. Nate Swift, big-bodied receiver, 6'2", 200 pounds, and uses that big frame to kind of shield off the corner to that side of the field. Wake Forest trying to name or shake it off as if it were an incomplete pass, but Swift right here, you'll see him right here. You see Sam Keller, 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. Nice position by Swift.
They go back to the ground. Lucky with about a 10-yard gain. Chip Vaughn on the tackle, and Smith lost his helmet on the play as Lucky picks up close to 10.
Well, they're just trying to wear him down right now. That big offensive line, a lot of substituting going on in there, but Lucky starts one way and then all of a sudden finding a crease, and he's getting better and better at that as this game progresses, finding the soft spots of this Wake Forest defensive line.
Lucky with a 9-yard pickup, 2nd and 1. You see Lucky's numbers at the top of your screen. 84 yards and a touchdown. Castile, the muscle man, comes off the bench and gets the first down to the 43-yard line. Clock continues to run. Again, Wake Forest has all of its timeouts remaining.
Yeah, you see the 3 timeouts right there at the top of the screen. And maybe should have used one. Do a little talking to a young quarterback in Brett Hodges. That's behind you now, so now you got to work the clock, try to reserve as much as you possibly can in this situation.
And Wake does use a timeout here. Now, even if you hold Nebraska to field goal, you still can win the game with a touchdown. You just don't know how much time will be left on the clock as we check in with Reese Davis back in the studio.
All right, Dave, coming up at the bottom of the hour, former UConn star Diana Taurasi leading Phoenix against the Shock. Taurasi had 10 in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. Game 2 is coming up right after this.
All right, Reese, Detroit taking Game 1 of that series, trying to win its 2nd straight WNBA championship. All right, what do you think Bill Callahan is telling Sam Keller right now? They've been talking for a while over on that Nebraska side.
Well, telling him to make sure you take care of the football here. And, you know, they went to a pass which it was ruled an interception for Sam Keller on the last possession. But right now, they're not throwing this football. They threw the one on 3rd down, got a nice little quick read where he really didn't have to think about it. Coverage dictated him going to Nate Swift, threw him a nice catchable football. The result was a first down, but it's not going to be anything where you drop back and read out things and then try to throw it down the field. They're going to run the football, which is what they do best. And that's what they'll rely on to try to kill this clock here the remainder of this 4th quarter.
Castile on 1st down, can't power his way through a tackle. Got about 2, and the ball came out.
He's going to blow it dead.
Yep. Dead at the 41-yard line. It ended up in the hands of Aaron Curry. It appeared that forward progress stopped, and the whistle blew.
Big series of downs when you talk about preserving this clock. Castile, freshman, got to take care of the football. You see him here trying to get nice push. Andy Sand, the fullback, trying to provide some nice little running room. I don't know. That ball looked like it was coming out.
Well, they blew it dead, ruled that he was down, so it cannot be reviewed.
Maybe a quick whistle there.
2nd and 8 at the 41-yard line. Lucky back into the game. Around left end. can't get away from a nice open field tackle by safety Aaron Mason. Otherwise, he had the first down. Instead, not only is it third down, but he tackled him out of bounds, so the clock stops.
Yeah, and the clock stops here. You see him. Marlon Lucky almost turned this baby up the field and was gone. He's got tremendous speed. But look at the block of the tight end, J.B. Phillips, who's known as their blocking tight end. That's what you call a pancake block right there. Taking a guy head up and then putting him right on his back.
They're going to say that he was still in bounds when he was tackled, so that takes off another 20 seconds.
Clock's still running.
Third down and 2. 10th play of this drive coming up for Nebraska at the 35-yard line of Wake Forest.
See the drive there, 9 plays so far, 45 yards.
And Nebraska doing what Wake Forest didn't do on the last drive.
Nebraska. So second charge timeout this half.
Calling a timeout, leaving Nebraska with just 1. So 3rd and 2 coming up.
The 25 greatest players in college football history. Presented by IBM. Coming in 1 week. IBM, getting it done.
We'll reveal 25 through number 1 over the course of the season, announcing the greatest player in college football on the last week of the regular season. Been some great players here at Nebraska.
Turner Gill, Mike Rozier. There's some great ones that have played at Nebraska.
And we'll get to see several players from last year's squad starting in the NFL as the NFL opens the 2007 season. Adam Carricker with St. Louis, Brandon Johnson
down in Houston.
Meanwhile, Nebraska think and run here, right? 3rd down and 2.
Oh, big time. And you line up and you give it to Lucky again. And again and again.
And it will be Lucky, and he's not going to get the first down. Undercut by Aaron Mason at the 35. And now what do you do if you're Bill Callahan? Do you go? Do you field goal kick? Do you punt it away?
If you're Jim Grove, you take the timeout, and if you're Bill Callahan, you punt the football. You pin a young quarterback down deep and make him drive the length of the field with pretty much 1 timeout. So I'd play the percentages here, go ahead and punt the football and play defense.
The second charge timeout this half.
So 1 timeout remaining for Wake Forest, 1 for Nebraska. Take a look at some of the key moments here in the 4th quarter. There was ruled an interception by John Russell on Keller.
And then right back, you see Hodges come back, try to force one into the end zone to his tight end. And a big interception there. And you see Skinner, Riley Skinner, kind of consoling his counterpart at the quarterback position, Brett Hodges. But boy, you like to have those back. He knows he forced it. Into double coverage. The zone was sitting right there waiting on him.
Looks like Nebraska's going to go. Do you agree with this decision by Bill Callahan?
No, I tell you, I really don't. He's played well defensively in the 4th quarter of this ball game. If you come up short here, you give excellent field position to Wake Forest with a timeout. If you go ahead and punt the football, you trap them deep down and let your defense win it here. So we'll see. It's a big gamble.
Well, if Nebraska gets the first down, and Wake Forest can only stop the clock 1 more time. So the play of the game right here, and Nebraska's 2 of 2 on 4th down so far today.
You got to remember to stay on sides if you're Wake Forest, because it may just be setting it up to try to draw you off. Nope.
And it's going to be Lucky, and he's not going to get the first down, and Wake Forest will take over at the 35-yard line, needing only a field goal to tie.
Well, this is one where they question you as a head coach, and he put himself right in the middle of it to be questioned. Why not punt and play defense with a young quarterback? And you're going to see a tremendous penetration right here by everybody along the defensive line of Wake Forest. Getting upfield penetration right there. Nowhere for Marlon Lucky to go, and it's John Russell who's the first guy to greet him. And if Brett Hodges leads Wake Forest down and at least takes this game to overtime with a field goal, they will be questioning Bill Callahan and Lincoln, Nebraska.
Even if Nebraska wins the game, they'll be questioning him. That's what they do in Lincoln, as that pass is caught by Marion out to the 41. Again, only 1 timeout remaining for Wake Forest.
But this is where they find their rhythm. Sometimes as a young quarterback, when you don't really have to think, get to the line of scrimmage, call a play, and you can just react.
You saw Sam Swank warming up. He's got a big leg. 5 field goals of 50 yards or more last year, and that's got to be a penalty as that pass is incomplete. No flag.
That finally comes out.
Man, Bo Ruud was all over Chip Brinkman over the middle.
Well, the umpire wasn't going to call it. It had to come from the side judge, but Bo Ruud had a hold of a jersey and everything else he could grab a hold of. You're going to see the tight end kind of dragging from the right to left, and right there, just hands all over him. Got to be pass interference.
It's a spot foul and a first down for Wake Forest.
Pass interference. Defense. Spot foul. First down.
Stop the clock. Minute and a half left, and they still right there. Timeout in your back pocket.
And you need realistically to get what, about 20 yards, 25 yards for Sam Swank? I mean, you might be able to get it down to about the 40-yard line and still have a shot.
Get to about the 30, and it's, you know, I really, really like their chances.
Right now, it's at the Wake Forest 44. Hodges trying to hit more, and it's incomplete. He was covered by Grigsby.
Boy, he has got a play set up where he shows the football. He can roll right a little bit and sneak the tight end, block him down, and go back out the left side to the corner. Everybody, every player from Nebraska is biting down and going with the flow of the football. If he can get something on the backside, like down in here, he's going to have something to work with backside.
You got one-on-one at the bottom of your screen. Instead, the pass over the middle, knocked away and incomplete. And that could be a penalty on Grigsby, but no flag this time. Asante hit Hodges as he released the pass.
And you see the chess match. They've gone away from the zone coverage, and it's all man-to-man for Nebraska, getting in the face of these receivers and then putting a lot of pressure on Brett Hodges, a young quarterback making his first start.
You look at Swank in his career, 50 yards or more. He's 7 of 9. Here's a 3rd down and 10, and the pass knocked away, and it is going to be ruled an interception by Ben Eisenhart. The ruling on the field is a pick. Hodges second here in the 4th quarter.
Well, maybe tried to force one, and he felt pressure that really wasn't there. Kind of throws this one off his back foot, and you see him. They quick snap Nebraska trying to catch him out of position right there. No pressure really around him, and he throws that one off his back foot trying to force it into Kenneth Moore. And they may review this one because it looks like it hits the ground right there. You see it touch the ground, maybe a trap. I don't know. That's close.
Got to be conclusive from the replay to overrule the call on the field. Remember, too, Eisenhart's replacing an injured guy. T.R. Green hurt his shoulder earlier in the half. And the former walk-on with the diving interception, at least that's what the case is right now.
A couple of passes that Brett Hodges going to wish tomorrow that he had back. You know, the interception into the end zone, trying to go to the tight end. The forced one. They had points set up right there with a turnover of their own. They could have had this game tied up, but that's what you do when you start a guy for the first time and really hadn't been in the fire.
If this should be overturned, it's 4th and 10 for Wake Forest, but hard to tell there. Look pretty much like Eisenhart picked it clean.
Well, Larry, you know, Asante way down the field, Kenneth Moore, and he gets bumped way down the field. Watch way down here, you'll see him just kind of take him out. Actually, that was doesn't quite get the look there, but that one looks like it catches just a piece of the ground, and he rolls over. And from this angle, see the hands go under the ball. Oh, that's close.
I mean, from that angle, when it's slowed down, it looks like it hits the ground first.
Looks like it hits the ground. He kind of traps it and then rolls over and claims interception.
It was deflected by Grigsby. And Eisenhart right now has a pick. But again, even if it's overruled, it's still 4th and 10 for Wake Forest back at its 44-yard line. Nebraska leading 20-17 with 1 minute and 17 seconds left.
Really didn't even show the threat of trying to hit out on the edges. They've run everything across the middle, those crossers. You know, if you start a guy inside and go back out to the corner, you get Kenneth Moore matched up out there on a linebacker. There's nobody out there in space. You keep running him across, and he's running trying to get across Larry Asante, the strong safety, running him right into the free safety, Eisenhart, who right here initially ruled an interception, but there's a lot of traffic inside. Let him work out on the outside, so if at least if it's incomplete, it's an incomplete pass and it's going out of bounds. You miss going over the middle, you pay the price.
Riley Skinner, a shoulder injury last week against Boston College. Brett Hodges replaces him. And Hodges with 2 interceptions here in the fourth quarter, 1 in the red zone, and then another one, at least right now, here to probably end the game if it is ruled indeed a pick. And Jim Grotelik is not sure when Skinner will be back, whether it's next week or the week after against Maryland or the 29th. But they're very similar quarterbacks, and really the difference is the inexperience with Hodges.
Exactly. Skinner has the game experience, and he is a precise decision maker. He makes decisions. You see it on film.
The ruling on the field is reversed. The pass was incomplete.
Touch the ground. One more down.
Wake Forest ball.
And one more chance for Brett Hodges on 4th down and 10.
Breathing a sigh of relief. Right now, the young quarterback for Wake Forest.
Bill Callahan can't believe it, but looked like the right decision when we slowed it down for you.
You've got Moore right here. A lot of room to go here and bring a guy underneath. There's a lot of traffic in the middle of the field, so I'd go where they're not.
Let's see what Hodges does here on 4th down and 10. Could be the final play. Going for Moore, and it's incomplete. Wake Forest players and coaches want a penalty flag as Grigsby was holding Moore, but maybe the ruling was uncatchable.
I cannot believe that they don't get a pass interference call. Grigsby had a hold of Kenneth Moore's jersey. You'll see it here. He's going to cross all the way across the formation. Watch Grigsby grab a hold of him right there. Now, you see the contact. He's got to have every right to the football. To me, that's pass interference. The only reason why I'm believing that the officials don't call it is because they're saying he couldn't catch the football.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially. I mean, he's 3 yards a little bit too wide.
But how can you determine that when a guy's holding on to you? You may accelerate and run through that ball, catch it, turn it up, get a first down, and get out of bounds. Wow.
Now the officials assuming that Moore wouldn't have been able to get there in time.
That's one they missed. They've called a pretty good game here this afternoon, but that's one they missed.
Only one timeout remaining for Wake. Nebraska just has to hold on to the ball.
Boy, I am just amazed. It's right there in front of the Wake Forest bench, so naturally you're going to get a big reaction from the coaches there. But I'm thinking from way up here, it's interference, and then when you see it on the replay, you've got to assume that he can accelerate and get to that football. And when because he's being prohibited, you got a jersey, you're holding him around the shoulders.
You're making an assumptive call, is what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Keller takes a knee, and that'll do it.
That will do it.
So Nebraska, its first ever trip to ACC country, comes out victorious, and Sam Keller's team is 2-0 with USC coming in to Lincoln next Saturday on ABC at night. And Jim Grove's team's 0-2.
Wake Forest.
Wake going to use its final timeout.
Timeout this half.
But all Nebraska has to do is take one more knee and the game over.
26 seconds.
And while we have a moment, let's check in with Reese. Reese, and still 26 seconds left. All Nebraska has to do is hang on to the ball here and take a knee, and the game's over. And Bill Callahan's team will go to 2-0 with USC next week. And based on what you've seen, Andre, from Nebraska today, do you think Nebraska has a shot against USC next week?
I think so, but USC, a talented football team. Once more, let's take another look at Kenneth Moore crossing the formation, and the call that we feel like is right there. You start to put your hands on a guy, you're pushing him, tripping him up, everything. That to me is pass interference, one I think the officials missed.
He could have called holding before the pass was thrown. And so Nebraska will win this game. And Bill Callahan goes to 2-0 with SC next week.
Yeah, I think to answer your question about SC, I think they've got enough speed. They can match you power-wise, but they are a little bit faster than Wake Forest. They get to the edges a little bit faster, so they're going to really have to play sound defensively to give themselves a chance in that football game against SC.